You and I are about to watch this lucky guy get swarmed by a breathtaking blonde and a smiling redhead. Next up, a gorgeous brunette in a traditional kimono dropping massive hints about wanting a totally normal life. And finally, a radiant blue-haired girl steps right up and boldly confesses her feelings. Our boy is straight up panicking, having zero clue how he scored this epic harem. But then beep, the sharp sound of a heart monitor completely shatters the fantasy. Startled, our main character wakes up in a cold hospital bed with zero memory of arriving. The doc asks about an accident, but this guy insists he's just a regular grad student. Then boom, a memory hits. A massive lab fire, dying while saving a hard drive. Totally thrown off, he scans the white walls and realizes this hospital room is absolutely real. But catching his reflection in the mirror, the poor guy's eyes practically bulge out of his skull. He gasps out loud, the face staring back is absolutely not his own. Then another violent flashback strikes, showing a horrifying car crash, wiping someone out. Clicking the pieces together, our hero instantly understands the shocking truth. He got fully reincarnated into someone else's body. His new identity, Kim Yu-sung, an ordinary student born to a Korean dad and a Japanese mom. Digging through these new memories, he learns the original owner caught a nasty car crash and slipped straight into a coma. Since his real body burned to ash in that fire, his lost soul somehow hijacked this one. Heart hammering in his chest, he actually celebrates escaping the absolute hell that is grad school. Riding home in the car, he plays it cool. Better not celebrate too early, right? This whole body snatcher situation could vanish in a single blink. The real problem right now is figuring out how to survive in this bizarre new life. Trailing right behind his new mom up the stairs, the kid just rides the awkward wave. Weirdly enough, his body kicks into autopilot knowing the exact path. Stopping at his door, his stomach twists with the guilt of invading some stranger's privacy. Opening that door, you and I are about to witness the biggest shock of his entire life. Staring at shelves absolutely overflowing with merchandise, he cringes at the former owner's wildly peculiar tastes. A whole room packed with magical girl figures triggers some lethal secondhand embarrassment. Long story short, the previous Yusung was a massive, unapologetic anime geek. Letting out a heavy sigh, he facepalms hard, feeling an epic headache already brewing. Slumping down, reality hits him like a truck. Can he actually fake being this mega nerd without blowing his cover? Because if his whole personality flips overnight, his parents are gonna sniff it out instantly. Facing the mirror, he studies this new face, trying to decode the character he has to play. Striking an edgy pose, he checks out the wild haircut and that strange little wrist bracelet. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off. He jumps back, eyes locking onto a huge manga poster, completely floored by the crazy coincidence. Shaking with pure dread, our guy realizes the old Yusung wasn't just a casual fan, but a hardcore fanatic. Searching through the messy shelves, he finds endless stacks of fighting and fantasy manga everywhere. Staring down an incredibly bizarre elf cover, he harshly judges the terrible taste of his predecessor. But wait, that cover rings a massive bell in his head. Grabbing a volume named Scramble Love, he instantly recognizes the multi-million-selling romance manga hit. Stuffed with every trope under the sun, this series blended basic formulas with an unforgettable artistic style. But that ending, the author completely lost it, forcing the hero with the childhood friend and driving the entire fandom absolutely insane. We all know that feeling, right? You and I remember fans melting down on Twitter because that forced ending had zero build-up. Super intrigued by the massive collection, he decides to skim through a volume just for kicks. But the story hooks him hard, making him lose track of time completely as he binges. Cut to the next day at the family restaurant. He secretly admits to pulling an all-nighter devouring that ridiculous comic. Snapping him back, his mom tells him to take the orders for the folks walking inside. Laughing at her boy's face, she happily notes that he seems way more normal today. He mentally thanks his lucky stars he doesn't have to fake being a total weirdo anymore. Tying his apron, he politely welcomes the fresh arrivals. But the second he looks at these new customers, his jaw hits the absolute floor. Squinting at the couple lingering by the door, an intense feeling of déjà vu washes over him. Clinging tightly to the blonde guy, the girl makes a scene shouting out Ryuji. Looking completely mortified, the blonde kid rubs his neck, clearly wanting to vanish. Frying his last brain cells, our hero finally connects the impossible dots. Trust me, you and I know those are the exact Scramble Love characters he read all night. Stick with me, we are diving into a wild one. See that blonde guy? That is Sakamoto Ryuji, the actual main character of this story. Frozen stiff right in the restaurant, our guy desperately processes this absolute insanity. Doing the math, he realizes this is not some average run-of-the-mill isekai reincarnation. Quick recap. He died in a brutal fire as a student, then woke up inside the body of a teen. Except this body. It belongs to a trash-tier background, extra from a cheesy romance manga he owned. Long story short, he got dragged straight into the actual plot of the book. Full panic mode hits. Our main character has zero advantage here, knowing only the final ending spoilers instead of the actual plot. Playing it cool, waiting for a table, he eavesdrops on the conversation of the protagonist just to calm his racing nerves. Deep breath. The ultimate survival strategy. Completely dodge the protagonist. With that goal locked in, he swears to live a totally peaceful life as a nameless extra. Snapping into action, he starts an insane grinding routine, speed reading everything in his room. He intentionally enrolls in a high school miles away, completely avoiding the main cast. Going hardcore on his studies, he easily crushes exams, snagging a full scholarship as valedictorian. Still not satisfied, he joins the student council and instantly becomes the absolute pride of the school. Now watch closely. Despite all this insane effort, the weird possession never actually reverses itself. Stretching out after a brutal study session, he finally accepts he must adapt to this reality. Thinking ahead, our guy is already mapping out part-time jobs and smart stock investments. But a huge brain means nothing with a weak body. So physical endurance becomes his next ultimate goal. Barely managing one push-up, he realizes the body of this extra is pathetically weak. Hitting the bench press hard, he starts pumping serious iron, chasing that absolutely perfect physique. Loving the gains, he gets totally addicted to the gym, grind, smiling proudly at the mirror. Thinking he has everything under control, soft footsteps from a mysterious girl suddenly approach. Fast forward. Back at school with his briefcase, he realizes time just completely vanished. Praised for being early, he smirks. But when classmates turn around, their jaws hit the floor, seeing the absolute monstrous build of Yusung. Looking intensely intimidating, he bluntly admits he has absolutely no clue where his classroom is. Strolling beneath cherry blossoms, he reflects that boom, he is already a second-year student. Sporting his massively upgraded look, he admits freshman year honestly went by way too fast. During that gap, he lived at the gym training like an absolute beast. Getting completely huge was his only real survival insurance. You and I both know manga logic, right? Yakuza or crazy aliens could literally spawn anytime. So these massive gains are not for flexing. It is pure prep work for dimensional dangers. Standing tall, he vows to keep living quietly. But the absolute second he steps into classroom 2B, a girl screams for Ryuji. Heart sinking, he realizes the girl yelling is Yaguchi Maya, the literal main heroine of the story. Looking completely exhausted, the blonde protagonist is already whining loudly about his terrible morning. Freaking out at his desk, our main character realizes he is trapped in the exact class of the protagonist. Cursing his garbage luck, he mutters he really should have picked some remote country school. Up front, Ryuji complains about losing his wallet and feeling cursed today. Hearing about him bumping into a stranger, our buff guy gets a harsh reality check. Right on cue, the teacher strolls in, ordering the entire chaotic class to sit down. He immediately announces that things are still a huge mess since it is opening day. But skipping the small talk, he drops a massive bomb, a super important classroom announcement. Cutting straight to business, he calls in a new transfer student. Radiant, sparkling and breathtaking, a blonde girl walks right in. Instantly, the whole room explodes into whispers about the totally insane beauty of this new girl. Stepping aside, the teacher politely asks the shiny new student to introduce herself properly. She smiles, introducing herself as Kishimoto Erika, lover of sweets, cats, and naps. While everyone drools, our massive guy is literally sweating absolute bullets. His brain clicks. He instantly recognizes this new girl as another super cliché romance heroine. Despite skipping chapters, he clearly remembers she completely dominated the online popularity poll of the manga. Pointing straight to the back, the teacher announces exactly where this blonde icon sits. Trust me, we are in for a ride. Her assigned seat, right next to Sakamoto Ryuji. Alright, stick with me here. Her eyes go wide and she totally freezes after recognizing the blonde guy. Pointing straight at his face, she screams out loud, "Yep, it is the exact same dude." The morning collision flashes through her mind, and she instantly roasts him straight up, calling the kid a pervert. Finding the chaos hilarious, the teacher just smiles, saying it is awesome they are already acquainted. He orders her to sit. Absolutely fuming, the blonde girl plops down aggressively, turning her face away from our guy. She makes the vibe between them incredibly heavy and super awkward. Trying to fix the mess, Ryuji pulls out a wallet and smoothly asks if it belongs to her. Bright red with embarrassment, she stammers out a thanks while our main character watches the whole drama unfold. Suddenly, some random student asks to borrow a magazine, and our boy lazily hands it over without a second thought. Sighing deeply, he reminds himself that he absolutely hates getting dragged into messy high school plot twists. But since this world runs on pure romance manga logic, he can predict every cliché. That is exactly why he speed reads those magazines to stay one step ahead of the drama. By doing this, he stays fully updated on all the wild romantic comedy tropes running this crazy world. Out of nowhere, a totally flustered Ryuji stands up, asking the blonde girl to step outside for a quick second. Dead serious, the blonde agrees, saying they need to talk privately about their little morning collision. Now, pay attention here. She agrees, but gives him exactly 1 minute. And as they walk out, our buff guy gets a seriously bad feeling. Using the oldest bathroom excuse in the book, he instantly jumps up from his desk to follow them. Out in the hall, his aura is heavy. Pure anime, villain energy, and random students are already whispering crazy rumors. They actually think he is some top-tier Yakuza assassin. Hearing these totally wild rumors, he mentally thanks his lucky stars that his scary presence keeps everyone at a distance. Picking up the pace, he decides to spy on this showdown up close. After all, his cliché prediction skills only work if he gathers all his secret intel straight from the source. Stroking his chin, our guy calculates the absolute perfect hiding spot for a super-secret high school meetup. The obvious answer hits him instantly. Within seconds, he tracks them down to a completely secluded spot hidden behind the school building. Wasting zero time, Ryuji claps his hands together and frantically begs for forgiveness for the morning accident. Hiding in the bushes, our resident spy analyzes the apology, totally recognizing the trap. Seeing her turn away and strike a dramatic pose, he knows the classic tsundere cliché is happening. Playing hard to get, she shoots him a super smug side-eye. But suddenly, she breaks character and bursts out laughing out loud. Flashing a massive smile, she admits Ryuji is way more innocent than he actually looked. Leaving him totally confused, she promises she is not petty over an accident. Stuck in the bushes, our guy rolls his eyes at this cheesy stuff. You and I both see it right. That radiant personality is exactly why she is top tier. Not even blinking, he keeps staring intensely at the happy couple from his hiding spot. Right as he mentally calls it a classic trope, someone sneaks up behind him. Hearing his name, he freezes completely. Slowly looking back, he comes face to face with a highly sinister girl hiding behind a fancy hand fan. With a deadly accusatory tone, the brunette asks if he is actually doing something as trashy as spying. Danger detected. He instantly recognizes Sayonji Kumiko, the typical rich villainess. In the original plot, she lost the popularity poll and became a tragic minor rival. With pure ninja reflexes, he snaps a branch off the bush, pretending he was just gathering pretty decorations for the student council room. Staring down her super suspicious glare, he tries playing the role of an incredibly harmless background mob character. Desperately hoping to survive this encounter, he fights to hide his rising internal panic. He holds a rock-solid posture so she never figures out his secret spying operation. Grabbing the useless branch, the brunette rolls her eyes, sighing that she will just stick it in the teacher's lounge. Mentally praising the heavens, our guy lets out a massive sigh of relief for surviving the interrogation unexposed. Cutting right to the chase, she crosses her arms, asking why the student council secretary is slacking off so early. Radiating pure superiority, she announces a mandatory meal for all council officers to build up their team bonds. Playing the obedient subordinate, he quickly agrees and follows the bossy leader straight down the hallway. Realizing the route is weird, he asks if they are actually eating in the normal cafeteria. With a condescending little laugh, she roasts him, claiming he clearly does not know her vibe at all. Snapping her fan open, she scoffs. And trust me, we both know rich girls never eat commoner food. Let's dive into this wild academy life. She immediately clarifies she does not mind regular food, but she still expects some culinary class. Meanwhile, sitting in this super fancy restaurant, our main character feels completely out of place, munching on expensive Wagyu steak. Sweating like crazy, he frantically tries to explain that the cafeteria simply does not serve pork to satisfy her super refined tastes. Absolutely stunned by this porkless reality, she furiously demands to know what on earth they actually feed people there. Racking his brain for the most popular item, he awkwardly brings up gyudon. But the name alone sounds horribly crude to her. Glaring at nothing, our resident villainess scrunches her face in pure disgust. No way is she touching peasant food. Out of nowhere, our boy jumps as a massive shout echoes from across the courtyard. Storming over while pushing up his glasses, a tied-up student loudly complains that his precious lady just vanished without warning. Startled, the brunette instantly spots Akaki Shinjiro. He is the student council vice president and her family's #1 bootlicker. Shooting an absolute death glare, the four-eyed guy sizes up our main character with pure hostility. Shoving a finger right in Yusung's face, this absolute psycho demands to know how a lowly secretary dares approach the council leader. Turning bright red, the brunette desperately tries damage control, claiming she actually skipped lunch entirely just to find him. Completely baffled by this blatant lie, our guy silently notes she was literally just whining about poor people food. Sweating, she scrambles to hide her mistake. She physically shakes holding a branch, while the vice president just keeps screaming his head off. Scowling hard, Akaki loudly declares zero tolerance for any disrespect toward his lady. Thumping his chest glasses, guy launches into this wild, dramatic speech about risking his life for the Sayonji family. Watching this crazy spectacle, our hero sees the brunette yank the vice president away by his ear, hastily apologizing. You saw that too, right? Left totally alone, our guy just stands there frozen, trying to process the absolute madness. Once classes finally end, he makes a beeline straight for the subway station. Standing in the massive crowd, he takes a huge breath, thrilled to survive one more day without major drama. Taking it all in, he realizes today is the exact day the Scramble Love game plot actually kicks off. He internally cheers that students avoid him, like the literal plague, all thanks to his absurdly huge tank-like muscles. Loving this self-isolation, a dark little smile creeps up. Bulking into a literal wall was his greatest idea ever. Checking the digital board, his mood totally drops. The next train will not arrive for another solid 10 minutes. A quick fix, though, he pops open a soda to chill, happily reflecting on his sweet, peaceful background character life. 100% sure he will dodge the main plot, he takes a nice, relaxed sip of his drink. But that peace, gone instantly when a super bubbly female voice suddenly calls his name. Choking hard on his soda, his eyes go wide. The blonde Kishimoto Rika is standing right in his face. Now pay attention, here is where it gets crazy. Smiling like lifelong buddies, she cheers about running into him. Then, totally fearless, she grabs his massive arm, casually asking for directions. Sweating like crazy, he totally panics. How does this girl know his name when they have literally never spoken? Pointing right at his chest, the cheerful blonde taps his official school ID badge with Kim Yusung clearly printed. With an adorable little laugh, she says his name way too familiarly, making our guy tense up hard. Desperately hiding his freak out, he scratches his neck suddenly, realizing he completely forgot to rip off his stupid name tag. Eyes practically sparkling, she casually drops that he is actually super nice, totally ignoring his scary academy reputation. Completely thrown off, our muscle boy just stares at her, desperately trying to compute what goes on in her brain. So confused, he frantically wonders where in the world she got the crazy idea that he is some friendly giant. Looking completely unamused, he deadpan asks why she ever got that weird first impression. Striking a cute, thoughtful pose, she admits his dark classroom aura made her curious. She even brings up those insane rumors about him crushing an entire biker gang single-handedly. Brushing off the gossip, though, she claims it was super cool how he quietly let the council president mistreat him. He just covers his face in pure defeat. Our hero instantly realizes she made a massive, colossal mistake, misjudging his true motives. So, what do you and I take from this? Our guy accidentally hooked a main heroine's attention. Staring at that bright winning smile, he immediately gets why she holds the Academy's #1 popularity spot. Snapping him back to reality, she demands an answer about his nice guy status. Jolted awake, he immediately apologizes, just trying to escape this trap before the plot drags him under. Giving a quick thanks for the odd compliment, he prays she will finally walk away and leave him alone. But she persists. Let's dive right into this wild dynamic. The blonde swears the class just doesn't get him, but she sees the golden heart hiding under all those massive muscles. Exhausted from fighting it, he figures it is way easier to just play along with her crazy delusion and drop the argument. With a massive smile, she officially declares herself his new best buddy and demands he watch her back from here on out. Throwing in the towel, our boy accepts his doom. He completely drops the scary tough guy act he was using to push the heroine away. Loner or not, he realizes the outcome with this stubborn blonde was destined to be exactly the same, so forced friendship it is. Desperate to keep the original plot intact, he commits to the bit. The background character act simply has to continue no matter what happens. Shoving his hands in his pockets, he officially accepts the alliance, faking absolute confidence to sell his totally average guy performance. Totally hyped about her new sidekick, she shoves her phone screen in his face, begging for directions to some Tokyo train station. Squinting at the screen, our guy admits he is completely lost. Those Tokyo subway lines are an absolute maze to figure out. But checking the address, he spots something. That station is right in a super rich neighborhood, meaning this girl is definitely loaded. Cheering at his response, she drops a bomb. They basically live right by each other, which means daily train rides together. Totally caught off guard, he realizes she is right. Their neighborhoods are basically bordering each other. Giggling like crazy, the blonde thinks this is absolutely hilarious and calls it pure destiny. Meanwhile, our guy is practically sweating bullets. Pay attention here. With her sticking this close, our main character goes on absolute high alert. Flashing back to his notes, he admits the harsh truth. He does not know the original lore well enough to predict this stuff. Throwing his hands up, he pivots. The smartest play now is keeping her close for intel just to stop any massive disasters from happening. Scheming to flip the script, our guy figures milking Rika for juicy school gossip is actually a ridiculously good deal for him. Weighing the odds, he figures getting slightly tangled in this rom-com arc shouldn't shatter the main storyline too badly. Hopefully. Breaking the awkward silence, he calls her over. He offers to buy her a drink just to officially seal this completely weird friendship. Standing right at the vending machine, he tells her to go wild and pick anything she wants as proof of their new bond. Chugging that soda down in one breath, the blonde looks like she just reached pure heaven, savoring every single drop. Grinning from ear to ear, she thanks him, swearing nothing beats an ice-cold Coke. Catching on to her crazy addiction, he points out she must be a hardcore cola fan. Acting all cute, she confesses she was actually holding back on soda for her diet. Whipping out her phone again, she proudly flashes him some old pictures from her child modeling days. Caught off guard again, he studies the photo. Yeah, he has to admit, the girl definitely has some serious modeling talent. But looking super close at her face in the shot, he turns and bluntly points out she looks different. Maybe it is just the heavy makeup. Instantly offended, she screams that she never wears makeup and desperately tries changing the subject. Right on cue, the train rolls in and she totally dodges the question, sprinting aboard before those doors slam shut. You saw this coming, right? Two old men on the train start heavily whispering. Thanks to his massive size, they straight up call him a thug. Super uncomfortable with the side eye, he tries blocking out their comments, dreading the fact he has to endure this exact trip every single day. Cracking up at his totally dumbfounded face, the blonde jokes that riding the train is intense now, making him her ultimate human shield. Whipping out a pocket map, he zeroes in on the tricky transfer routes to figure out how this girl is getting home safely. Pointing at the messy lines, he tries explaining the route. She understands absolutely nothing, just laughing her head off at the confusion. Walking out of the station together, they stroll through the neighborhood to say goodbye. She literally swears it was the greatest day ever. Confirming her stop is up next, our guy politely thanks her for actually providing some peaceful company today. Waving happily from inside the train, the blonde smiles wide and says she is totally counting on him tomorrow. Absolutely stunned by the daily summons it hits him. He is not escaping her on this train ride anytime soon. Standing completely alone, he wonders how the literal #1 heroine chose him out of everyone to cling to at school. Next day, the lunch bell rings, stomachs are rumbling. But realizing she totally forgot her lunchbox, Rika looks devastated, bracing for a starving afternoon. Meanwhile, popping open his bento box, our guy gets ready to devour his delicious kimbap in total peace. Tossing the first roll into his mouth, he absolutely relishes the silence of his super-secret break spot. Then boom, a blonde head pops around the courtyard corner out of nowhere, catching him totally off guard with his mouth completely full. She dramatically cries out, completely shocked that he hides his lunch and eats all by himself every single day. Trying to brush it off, he explains his massive arms terrify the other students. He just isolates himself to avoid any extra trouble. So what do you and I take from this? Sometimes avoiding rumors means hiding until people finally get used to his intimidating look. Alright, come along with me. This shaking blonde thinks eating alone is totally absurd, lecturing him about why having company is super important. Hypnotized by his lunchbox, she instantly recognizes the Japanese food. Could she maybe just get one tiny bite? He agrees to share. But honestly, he is baffled. One second she is bawling her eyes out, the next she is totally fine. Thrilled by the free meal, she admits eating with someone beats crying on an empty stomach any day. Scratching his head, he apologizes. This cannot happen tomorrow. He brings the exact same lunch every single day, and she definitely gets sick of it. Chomping down on that rice roll, she proves her heroine status, oozing absolute charisma with every single chew. Shouting out loud, she praises the seasoning. This totally confirms the rumor his family runs a top-tier restaurant. Our big guy gets shy, downplaying it as just meat and rice. But hey, if she really loves it, tell his mom, not him. Wanting to keep things fair, the blonde offers a trade. One piece of her special omelet for his kimbap. Grabbing that juicy piece of egg, he tosses it right into his mouth without a second thought. Bam! The bizarre flavor explodes. His pupils dilate in pure shock. His entire body freezes completely, failing to process whatever he just swallowed. Gagging from the sweetness, he realizes this recipe was made by someone with a sugar-destroyed toddler palate. Coughing hard, he demands to know exactly how many spoonfuls of sugar she dumped into that thing. Radiating a dark aura of disgust, our buff guy lectures her on sugar. Next time he promises to bring a real sugar-free Korean omelet. Totally lost, the girl asks what exactly goes into the Korean recipe. Just salt, he replies deadpan. The blonde is instantly outraged. Eggs with salt. Absurd. She accuses his Korean taste buds of being completely broken. But mid-laugh during their food war, a heavy presence drops into the courtyard. Watch closely now. They spot a weird duo, and their faces absolutely scream trouble. Beyond annoyed, the student council president marches straight over, blowing a loud referee whistle furiously. Shaking with rage under her dark bangs, the brunette vows that the heavens might forgive this immorality, but she definitely will not. Stomping her foot hard, she snaps her head up. Secret lunch dates, absolutely forbidden here. Confused by her insane rage, the poor kid stammers, asking what she means by an improper relationship. Stepping up like a boss, the four-eyed vice president drops his voice an octave, taking total control. Dropping the MC's full name, Akaki glares down at him with pure superiority, calling him a massive coward. Exhausted by the drama, the boy says he was literally just eating. Why do these two keep spawning out of thin air? Shoving a finger in his face, Rika jumps in. Honestly, finding them lurking around every single day is starting to get super creepy. Switching targets, the president shoots absolute daggers at the blonde, daring her to drop another smart comment. Right then it clicks. The blonde bursts into laughter, pointing right at her and crowning her president of darkness. frozen stiff. The villainess hears the cringy nickname, muttering it under her breath as the sheer humiliation sinks in. Dripping with mockery, the heroine smirks, finally understanding exactly where that weird nickname came from. I mean, look at her. The brunette only wears black and constantly drags around this heavy, depressing aura. Exploding, the president screams her lungs out about the honor and dignity of the official student council uniform. Not missing a single beat, Rika taunts her. Come on, admit it, it is literally just a cheap emo cosplay outfit. You and I know that exact feeling. The brunette realizes she is a total joke, stuck with that cringy nickname forever. Sprinting away to escape the sheer embarrassment, she vows absolute revenge. This is far from over. Watching his offended goddess run away, crying, the four-eyed guy chases after her, screaming her name and tripping over his own feet. Left completely alone, Rika finds their pathetic escape hilarious. The MC, he is just tired of this childish rivalry. Shrugging it off, the boy has zero clue what just happened. He just wants to finish his lunch in peace. End of the day. Rika's cheerful voice suddenly echoes, shouting our Korean MC's name down the empty, quiet hallway. Leaning on his desk, she finds it weird that he is still around. What is his excuse today? Holding a club pamphlet, he explains it. Being on the student council last year gave him zero free time, but now he is finally thinking about joining one. Giving the most basic advice ever, she yanks his arm. Why not just visit every single club today and test them all out? Thinking about it, he agrees. Getting up and taking action is way better than just sitting there overthinking it like a rock. That's where we leave it. He agrees to visit the clubs, and trust me, you'll want to see what's next. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch him shock the blonde, announcing he's hitting every single club this afternoon. Flashing an evil grin, the main character's heavy aura totally terrifies even his own shadow. He cracks his knuckles with this absolutely crazy look. His real goal, finally pushing his insane, overpowered strength to the absolute limit. Walking up to the soccer club, they can already hear intense practice totally going off. Out on the field, complete chaos. A totally awful kick smashes right into the crossbar. Watching this horrible aim, the sidelines completely lose it openly, mocking the new kid's skills. Totally annoyed, the upperclassmen cross their arms, screaming at the rookies for missing 5 straight shots. Cracking up at his buddy's annoyed face, a guy points out he hasn't scored once either. Acting super tough, a senior steps up, telling everybody to watch how a real pro scores. Out of nowhere, some random guy interrupts, calling them lazy. The vibe instantly gets super tense. But the second the number 10 player steps up, everyone absolutely freezes instantly, recognizing the team's legend. Looking completely bored, the captain orders them off the field. The real practice is finally starting. Sweating buckets, the crowd panics. It's Ryoha, the third-year center back, who absolutely never shows mercy. Shaking like crazy, those arrogant seniors bow, apologize, and nervously sneak right off the grass. Letting out a sigh, the side character thanks his captain for tossing out those super annoying freshmen. Pay attention here. Skipping the small talk, the captain asks if any decent freshmen are in this mess. Looking totally stressed, his buddy admits finding actual talent for nationals this year is super hard. Still hoping, he claims that landing just one wildly strong rookie could totally change their championship run. Gritting his teeth, that rejected senior mutters under his breath, absolutely furious about the massive humiliation. Trying to start drama, his buddy asks if they should go jump the captain. Laughing awkwardly, the guy mentions Ryoha's kicks clock over 100 kilometers per hour. He'd much rather survive, thanks. Acting tough, the first guy argues street fights aren't soccer. Real combat experience matters way more. Right in the middle of this dumb argument, a heavy hand violently grabs the guy's shoulder. Turning around, he's instantly face to face with our massive main character, who's leaking pure killer intent. With a terrifying voice and dead eyes, the kid dares him to repeat that threat out loud. Sweating bullets, the duo instantly figures out exactly who this giant blocking the hallway actually is. Screaming in pure panic, they recognize Kim Yu-sung, the mad dog, and literally sprint for their lives. Totally confused by the random retreat, he looks at Rika, wondering what the heck just happened. Nearby, the gossiping crowd is amazed, thinking he just crushed those punks using only his death glare. Looking super worried, the blonde reminds him starting fights on day 1 of club visits is bad. Can you believe this? He sighs in total frustration, explaining he only wanted directions to the field before they suddenly bolted. Over on the field, the number 5 player hears everything. He instantly spots the massive guy standing by the entrance. Warning the captain, he points nervously, wondering what Kim Yu-sung wants here. Absolutely paralyzed by fear, the team totally assumes he's here to destroy them for revenge. Keeping his cool, the captain tells everyone to chill. It's probably not that big a deal. Sweating hard, a guy brings up the rumors. He's a total menace, banned for insane brute strength. Thinking it over, the captain admits the stories are bad, but decides to see what he wants. Walking up with heavy steps, Yu-sung's intense aura terrifies everyone. Yeah, those wild rumors were absolutely true. Cutting through the dead silence, the captain steps up, asking if he's the infamous Kim Yu-sung. Standing his ground, the captain officially welcomes him, then directly asks why he's actually visiting today. Skipping the fluff, the kid says he wants to join and demands to know the tryout rules. Eyes completely bugging out, the captain realizes the insane height difference. He feels tiny next to him. Staring at those insane genetics, the senior realizes his uniform is literally stretching over massive muscles. Trust me, you want this absolute beast on your team. Stick with me here. Mentally celebrating his wild luck, the captain already pictures the national championship trophy in his hands. Staring wide-eyed at this absolute muscle machine, the captain makes a silent vow. He is putting this monster on the starting lineup no matter what it takes or costs him. Clearing his throat just to hide his massive excitement, the senior breaks down the rules for the practical admission test. Pointing straight at the goal, he says it is super simple, just one single kick from the penalty mark with as much raw power as possible. Accepting the challenge, Yusong steps right into position, promising he will not hold back a single drop of his monstrous strength. Focusing the energy into his arms, the big guy gathers every ounce of his power to unleash it all in one single decisive kick. Grunting hard, his legs build up massive tension like coiled springs ready to totally snap. He just yells out, "Screw it." Pushing way past his physical limits, he explodes with power, swinging his leg for a monumental kick that throws massive dust clouds all over the entire field. Completely shattering the sound barrier, the massive impact of his foot hitting the ball literally sounds like a bomb detonating. Dead silence hits the field. The team freezes, desperately trying to process the absurd speed of that totally insane kick. Staring blankly at the goal net, the captain suddenly realizes there is absolutely nothing inside it. The ball just vanished. Panicking, one student finally realizes what happened and screams out loud, totally shocked by the crazy test result. Sitting right in the middle of the grass, that poor official leather ball is completely deflated, literally ripped right in half by the impact. Laughing nervously, Yusong just scratches his head. He admits soccer is clearly not his thing, and asks Rika for some better suggestions. Checking the school pamphlet, the blonde cheerfully points out that both the baseball and basketball clubs are literally right next door. Out in the hallways, crazy gossip spreads like absolute wildfire. Everyone says the monster Yusong is now heading straight to wreck the basketball gym. Hyped up, the crowd rushes after him, desperate to grab a front row seat for this wild show of destruction. Watching the giant crowd, the student council president smiles with pure satisfaction, thrilled to see that this monster has finally started making moves. Watch closely, because the court was no different. With one monstrous dunk, Yusong shatters the entire glass backboard, leaving everyone absolutely speechless. Moving straight to baseball, he swings that bat with so much raw force he shatters the entire metal backstop of the actual field. Passing by the tennis court next, he smashes the ball so hard with a racket that it pierces the solid concrete wall, blowing a giant hole. Looking down at her little notebook, Rika just crosses off all the clubs with a massive X for fail after these total disasters. Surprisingly hyped by the mess, the girl actually celebrates. She jokes that he cleared all those sports just like beating a video game level. Tired of destroying school property, our guy asks just how many clubs are actually left to finish this absolute torture. Letting out a clever little laugh, Rika mysteriously holds up her notebook and promises to answer his big question. Suddenly slapping on some fake prescription glasses, she strikes this super intelligent nerd pose, literally surrounded by little shining stars. Reading her messy notes, she explains that skipping the clubs with no practical tests, they basically only have 3 actual options left on the menu. Starting right off with the track and field club, she explains, their main focus is on boosting everyone's stamina and sharp concentration. Right after that, she points straight to the swimming club, calling it perfect for cardio work and toning your whole body in the pool. Finally finishing off the list, she shows him the kendo club, apparently ideal for training mental discipline and surviving life's brutal beatdowns. Taking off those glasses with style, the blonde confirms her summary is totally complete and eagerly awaits the boy's final decision. I know what you are thinking. Sighing in pure relief, he thanks her but swears she really did not need to play dress-up for that. Smiling and ignoring his comment, she excitedly asks which of the 3 clubs they are heading to next. Looking right at her thoughtfully, the kid drops a question that makes her face turn completely red, asking if she has ever tried acting besides just modeling. Quickly dodging the subject, she jokes that he is actually great at pretending to be scary, suggesting they drop the acting talk right now. Blushing hard, she shrinks against the wall, nervously fidgeting with her fingers, and admits she feels way too embarrassed to talk about it. Flashing a sheepish smile, she quietly confesses that she did some acting work in the past. Caught off guard by this revelation, the kid freezes as a cold shiver runs down his spine. Seeing the cheerful heroine acting unusually shy, he concludes, there is absolutely some dark story buried in her past. He suddenly realizes this is a dark story the original manga never actually covered. Scratching his head, he realizes if he actually wants to change this plot, he better investigate the blonde's hidden secrets before it is too late. Without pushing it, he agrees to change the subject, pointing out they still have 3 clubs left to visit. Assessing the whole situation, he smartly judges that forcing this issue now will only push the girl away. Better to just let the dust settle first. Taking the lead, he confidently points to their next destination, deciding they should start with the kendo club right away. But as they reach the dojo, a noisy commotion erupts. Don't blink, because you will absolutely want to see what happens next. Pure chaos in the hallways right now. Background characters are screaming for their lives, announcing the arrival of the mad dog. Stick with me here. The terrified crowd is already whispering that this guy destroyed half the school. And now he is coming straight for the kendo club. Trembling in pure fear, some students turn to the blonde girl, wondering why she is casually walking around with a literal monster. Letting out a nervous laugh, she quickly lies. Claims she is his manager, and tells the panicked crowd to book an interview through her. Yuseong just sighs at all this chaos. Honestly, his reputation as a ruthless destroyer has officially spiraled way out of control. The girls gossip in the corners, whispering that his whole club visit is just a fake excuse to pick fights with everyone. Suddenly, a heavy stomp on the tatami mat. The kendo club captain has arrived. Smashing her wooden sword down, she demands silence. The crowd instantly drools over Captain Fumiyukika, praising her intense posture and absolute courage. Keeping entirely cool, Yuseong defends himself. He claims he only wants to take the admission test and calmly asks her to explain the rules. Laughing right in his face, the ponytail-wearing captain mocks the big guy. She thinks he is all talk. Leveling her wooden sword right at him, she sets the terms. First person to land a clean hit takes the win. Totally unfazed by his terrifying glare, she tosses the sword over her shoulder. If he has the guts to enter, she will fight him. Now watch this closely. The hyped crowd is ready to see the captain completely humiliate the school's biggest monster. Taunting the Korean student, everyone in the back screams for her to wipe the floor with his face. Adjusting her fake glasses, Rika actually finds this hilarious, demanding an admission fee for the show. They are treating him like a video game final boss. Annoyed by all the useless shouting, the captain screams for everyone to shut up. Shaking with pure fear, the gossips gulp hard. Total silence drops. Taking control, she officially declares this fight is exclusively between her and Kim Yusung. Leaking a malevolent aura and a bloodthirsty glare, she warns them. Anyone trying to interfere fights her first. The crowd instantly backs away in absolute panic. Nobody wants to get beaten by the club's psycho leader. Observing her flawless posture, Yuseong whispers to Rika. He admits, this captain is on a totally different level. I know you feel that hype too. Smiling, the kid realizes things are about to get incredibly serious. Staring into her threatening aura, he visualizes a massive, terrifying snake pulling back for a venomous strike. He turns to the blonde and tells her to wait outside. This fight is about to get extremely messy. Dropping into a stance, the captain asks if he wants protective armor. Glancing at his massive physique, he jokes that the club definitely does not have a size for his arm. Keeping it fair, the captain removes her own armor. But she warns him she takes zero responsibility for broken bones. He just laughs at the deadly threat. Taunting her right back, he praises her humor confidently, stating he is not the one getting hurt today. Gripping her wooden sword incredibly tight, she promises he will not lay a single finger on her uniform. Boom. She closes the distance at an absurd speed. She swings the wooden sword straight down at Yuseong's skull. Dodging by a single millimeter, he praises her technique. She really knows how to hit hard. Spinning her weapon, she unleashes a flurry of swift strikes trying to crack his defense. The clash creates a massive shockwave echoing through the gym. Both of these fighters have absolutely brutal, monstrous strength. She jumps back, gaining distance. Throwing her sword up, she prepares to drop a super cheap secret technique. Flashing a confident smile, she thinks this idiot could never break through the imaginary magic circle of her absolute defense. Playtime is officially over. She launches a final charge, going completely all out against him. With pure animal reflexes, the Korean spins. He drops his weapon, barely dodging a deadly strike aimed right at his throat. That strike was insane. The sheer wind pressure shakes the heavy curtains and literally slices through the air inside the gym. Sweating bullets, the captain suddenly feels his monstrous pressure. She instantly understands the insane danger she was just facing. Legs, visibly shaking, the Korean quietly admits the truth. A split second later, and his head would have been chopped in half. Swallowing her massive pride, she realizes she entirely underestimated this delinquent's speed and size. She needs a new survival strategy. That terrifying giant snake aura summons right behind her again. She vows to finish him off with the very next strike. Screaming the name of her secret clan art, she gives him zero room to defend. She brings that sword crashing down with godlike force, aiming directly for his chest. So what do you and I make of this? He just blocked that finishing blow with his bare arm, zero flinching. Stick with me here. We hear a nasty crunch and he groans in pure agony. That hit absolutely left a massive mark. The students in the back, completely frozen in shock. They cannot believe this dude just tanked the clan's legendary invincible secret technique, using literally only his forearm. smirking like a total winner. The captain celebrates her successful strike, swearing that the Korean's whole reign ends right now. But wait, before she even finishes talking, an insanely violent, invisible force completely smashes into her face. She spins through the air, spitting blood as she launches backward, totally clueless about what just hit her. Hitting the dirt hard, she realizes he never even swung his sword. She desperately asks where he learned such a freakishly deadly move. Keeping his sword pointed down, our MC just looks at her, sprawled on the dojo floor, super confused by her wild reaction. Gasping for air, she stares right at his massive, puffed-out chest, and finally pieces this ridiculous physical mystery together. Flexing those giant pecs, our boy proves he does not need flashy magic or secret clan moves, because his entire body is just pure raw muscle armor. Fast forward to the next day. The rumors have already flooded every single corner of the school, confirming he officially ended his warpath by ruthlessly crushing every sports club in existence. People are losing their minds, gossiping, whispering that both the soccer and kendo captains are currently recovering in hospital beds. Watch closely. Things are completely out of control now. The random background students officially declare Kim Yu-sung as the undisputed king of the entire school hierarchy. Absolutely no one can touch him. Trying to actually focus in class, he just plops his head right on the desk. He honestly admits his strength is way crazier than he thought, and those rumors are spreading like a massive wildfire. Looking back, he spots the blonde protagonist just casually chatting away. Yu-sung notices that, despite all the utter chaos, Ryuji looks completely unbothered, totally ignoring the crazy gossip. Thrilled about this safe distance, our Korean guy is super thankful. He happily celebrates the fact that Ryuji gets his peaceful life, while he chills as an overpowered extra. Boom! The classroom door violently slams open. A short-haired redhead storms right in, screaming Ryuji's name with absolute fury in her eyes, demanding he get out there right this second. Completely startled by the sudden noise, the entire class freezes, staring at this furious girl standing in the doorway, wondering what on earth is happening. Standing up super slowly, the blonde confusedly asks who this loud girl even is. She aggressively introduces herself as a kendo club member, totally furious and having absolutely zero patience for him today. Marching right up to Ryuji's face, she aggressively accuses him of beating up her team's freshmen right after she visited the poor guys in the hospital. Panicking, the protagonist desperately tries to defend himself, swearing he didn't hit anyone. He says she is definitely confusing him with some other guy. I know what you're thinking, classic anime logic. In the back, our giant kid freezes when a top-tier heroine with a bandana steps right in to break up a fight that is not even hers, questioning the angry redhead in front of everyone. The kendo captain seriously asks if the freshmen from her own club were actually the ones who started the entire fight. Explaining the crazy situation, the redhead reveals those guys tried dragging her into an alley yesterday, but Ryuji showed up like an absolute hero to save the day. Glaring daggers at the kendo captain, she demands to know if she still really thinks this whole mess is the protagonist's fault. Completely caught off guard, the kendo member stammers, hard admitting Ryuji clearly did not start this nonsense. Second-guessing her own story, the captain gets super confused since she was absolutely certain the blonde was the main culprit. Finally realizing the massive screw-up she made, the redhead is in total shock. Sticking her finger right in Ryuji's face, she loudly declares in the middle of class that he is her man from this exact moment on. Surrounded by a bright, shining aura, the blonde literally trembles, hearing her loudly promise to make him the happiest guy in the entire world. Not understanding a single thing happening right now, Rika just stares completely blankly, right in the middle of this wild crossfire. With the whole classroom going wild over this sudden love confession, Ryuji tries melting into his chair, screaming in pure panic. Our protagonist desperately tries to deny everything, while the redhead just keeps loudly insisting on her confession. Watching all this hilarious drama unfold, Yu-sung thinks getting ambushed by a massive romantic confession right in the middle of class is just a brutally harsh classic anime cliché. Laughing at the whole chaotic scene, Rika is enjoying this like it is her absolute favorite TV show. Eyes sparkling, the redhead proudly yells that Ryuji is amazing, and she literally does not care about a single other thing. Totally mocking this wild situation, the classmates actually start placing real bets on which heroine the lucky protagonist is finally going to choose. What do you and I think? Well, one student comments, the new girl is sweet and has the literal perfect body for the spot. Comparing their wild personalities, they joke she is an absolute beast to everyone else, but turns into a totally tame puppy around her crush. Alright, stick with me here. We are jumping right into an absolute school madhouse. Yu-sung looks over, catching Ryuji totally surrounded, while the redhead shamelessly points her finger at him. Talking to Rika, he tells her to step up if she actually has the guts to admit her feelings. Right here in front of everyone is the absolute perfect time. Testing the waters, our main character asks if Rika thinks the blonde and redhead will actually hook up. The blonde jokes around asking Yu-sung who Ryuji will pick. He just shrugs, claiming zero clue, and Rika totally yawns at his boring safe answer. Of course, Yusung knows the exact manga plot, but he bites his tongue to keep quiet. Ryuji is supposed to date his childhood friend. Acting all high and mighty, Rika brags she knows his future girlfriend, making Yusung super curious. Dropping plot spoilers, she claims that in Scramble Love, Ryuji actually ends up with Tojo. But there is a catch. She demands to be Tojo's official love guru, giving out top-tier seduction tips. Totally doubting her skills, Yusung asks the blonde if she is really that confident in her advice. With a quick wink, she brags that students constantly beg her for romantic help. Feeling a little weirded out, he wonders why she is so obsessed with everyone else's drama. Rika laughs, imagining him asking for dating tips, and he frantically begs her to stop. Blushing hard, he tries changing the subject while she relentlessly teases him. Glancing at the door, he spots the redhead practically camping out for Ryuji wearing a totally mischievous smirk. Wondering why Tojo is crashing their class, Yusung notices the wild rumors flying about their upcoming weekend date. She claims she just wants to buy him snacks, but the juicy gossip only blows up harder. Breaking it down, he realizes a date like that is basically a flat-out relationship proposal. Then, the real tea spills. He overhears that the redhead's dad is a massive regional big shot. Now pay attention because this twist is wild. Her dad runs the Daosekai Yakuza syndicate. He freezes. Realizing the main character is tangled up with literal gangsters, the situation just got incredibly dangerous. Shrugging it off, he tells himself it is not his problem. He is just a muscular background extra. It is completely bizarre, but he swears this crazy info will not ruin his quiet, peaceful life. He briefly jokes about calling the guy boss, but quickly drops it, finding the whole thing terrifying. Then again, he remembers he is living inside a manga, so absolute madness is totally normal. Screaming, the redhead aggressively demands that apology meal. Abandoning the protagonist to his fate, Yusung refuses to touch this Yakuza drama with a 10-foot pole. He just wants peace. Trying to shut down the noise, the redhead silences everyone and takes total control. Glaring at the crowd, she screams that it is none of their business and they are making Ryuji uncomfortable. You see this right, the other students watch from afar, completely green with envy over his crazy luck. After class, the redhead stalks Ryuji, relentlessly demanding he accept her special forced apology lunch date. Sprinting through the hallways, the girl finally traps the poor blonde before he can escape home. Screaming his name, she swears he will eat with her this weekend. Almost crying, Ryuji begs for mercy from this public harassment. Later, at the family restaurant, Yusung casually eats and watches the chaos unfold when Rika suddenly appears. Looking adorable with a food tray, she hands over a fancy lunchbox and asks about his plans for the Golden Week break. Saying he will be working at the restaurant, he tells Rika to drop by if she gets bored. Getting super hyped, she asks if he likes manga, bragging about the massive stash at her house. Whipping out her phone, she shows off her dad's giant collection. The thing literally looks like an entire comic book store. Totally blown away, he says he would love to visit, agreeing to chat later. Snacking delicately, the blonde looks happy with their vibe. Staring at her, the MC points out she is too skinny for how much she eats. Defending her diet, she explains that skipping a solid lunch just makes her snack like crazy all day. Smirking, she drops a total bombshell. All that food goes straight to her chest, leaving Yusung completely frozen. Whipping his head up, he suddenly notices her cleavage. He is totally speechless, frantically trying to look away. Catching him staring, she yells, calling him a massive pervert, and laughs that it was an obvious trap. In the packed cafeteria, they chat peacefully, ignoring the loud school noise. Lurking in a corner, the redhead spots them, plotting to get some help. Sneaking up from behind, she calls out to Yusung and asks if he is actually Tojo Karen. He is completely lost. Rika introduces the kendo girl, and trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Stick with me here, we are kicking things off with the redhead, begging for romance advice from our boy Yusung. Blushing furiously, Tojo scrambles to cover Rika's mouth before the whole school hears her massive crush. The redhead literally begs for his help, completely desperate, while Yusung just stands there wondering who started this ridiculous rumor. Confused, she asks how they even knew. Rika simply grins, saying her totally obvious classroom behavior gave the whole thing away. Panicking hard, she desperately tries hushing Rika to keep it totally secret. But Rika just laughs casually, dropping that Yusung also needed a serious chat with her anyway. Basically, Tojo pleads for his help to completely win over Ryuji super fast. Strolling down the street later, our main character figures Kishimoto is just loving all this drama. He suddenly remembers the blonde scheduling a massive group meetup for the very next day to have a super serious discussion. Racking his brain, he recalls the original plotline. Sakamoto was totally supposed to be the main guy of a massive 4-girl harem. Pausing outside his gym, the dude shakes his head. Time to drop the anime logic and just focus on getting absolutely shredded today. Inside, total silence as everyone watches this absolute beast lifting crazy heavy iron. Meanwhile, 2 girls whisper, totally confused to see a random female student hanging with the meatheads. Caught off guard by the sudden visit, our boy turns around and spots a very familiar face waiting there. Rocking casual clothes, the kendo club captain is looking absolutely stunning right now. Instantly recognizing her, Yusung calls out Fuma Yukika's name. Blushing slightly, she admits her regular sword practice just wasn't giving her a good enough sweat lately. Flashing a quick smirk, our buff hero jokes that he totally gets why every guy in the gym is staring right now. Looking at her, the main character silently admits the captain is just dangerously gorgeous today. Keeping the chat going, he casually mentions he had no clue the brunette lived around here. She nods, confirming she literally just moved. Hearing this, our guy realizes this setup is absolutely perfect for his future master plans. Now watch closely because the massive gym owner suddenly crashes in, instantly declaring Yusung as her official trainer. Playing matchmaker, the old musclehead argues that sweating it out with a classmate easily beats training with some grumpy old man. Whispering right in his ear, the owner teases that she clearly only showed up because she likes him, wishing our boy pure luck. Cutting the nonsense, the boss simply tells Fuma to just sit back and watch today. Figuring the old man is totally delusional, our guy ignores the tease, fixes his stance, and locks his grip on that heavy barbell. Totally ignoring normal human limits, the boss casually suggests a light warm-up of 220 kilos. The brunette almost passes out from shock. The owner laughs, saying in his 20 years of lifting, this kid is a straight-up freak of nature mutant. Gripping the cold iron, Yusung flexes his insane muscles, bracing his entire body for this massive lift. Dropping into a flawless squat, he moves that monstrous weight like it is just a bag of groceries. Hyped out of his mind, the owner screams to bump it to 270 kilos, absolutely terrifying the poor captain now. Crushing 5 full sets flawlessly, the kid finally exhales while Fuma stares, convinced she is watching actual torture right now. Beaming with pride, the boss points at his monstrous prodigy, while the swordswoman is literally sweating bullets at this ungodly flex. Analyzing his crazy build, the captain realizes there is no way a normal high schooler has muscles like that. You see that insane purple aura too, right? She instantly connects the dots, uncovering this buff guy's true terrifying anomaly. Trusting her sharp instincts, she completely confirms it. He possesses the legendary extreme yang physique of ancient martial arts. Flashing back to ancient legends, she realizes our guy is basically like those mythical heroes born with the pure strength of 100 warriors. Remembering how heavy his strike felt before, the brunette knows for a fact that raw power was not built in a gym. Switching to her hidden mission, she quietly decides to report this absolute beast of a discovery to her shadow boss. Bam! The scene suddenly cuts to this massive, highly traditional mansion that screams absolute mafia top brass. Suit-wearing guards bow deeply at the gates for the redhead, just as the blonde and our massive guy confidently crash the party. Seeing Kishimoto looking so incredibly chill, our boy seriously questions if hanging with the Yakuza is just normal high school stuff here. Strolling right past the scary mobsters, he silently accepts he will never truly get used to the wild rules of this isekai. Just looking at our giant sparks, total panic. One of the Yakuza goons practically has a heart attack at his monstrous size. Shoving a finger in his chest, the mobster screams that he is a rival gang spy, begging the redhead to step away from this huge threat. Absolutely furious, Tojo starts screaming at her own guards, yelling that they literally came here to help. But the sweating mobster argues back. His brutal face looks like a hardened criminal, not a student. Safely in the kitchen, she frantically apologizes for her men. But honestly, you and I both know his thuggish face always causes this exact kind of hilarious panic everywhere he goes. Let's dive in. Tying his apron, the kid claims he is terrible at love advice. But the fiery redhead completely insists a male perspective is the ultimate key to success. Gripping a knife, Tojo asks if cooking will actually win Sakamoto over. The blonde promises homemade meals literally never fail. Striking a flashy pose, Rika demands total blind trust in her unbeatable romance expert tips. Watching from the sidelines, our Korean MC feels brutal secondhand embarrassment, wondering how she even says that without turning red. Clapping wildly, the hyped-up girls declare the official start of their messy mafia kitchen challenge. Looking totally proud, the redhead holds up a glowing lunchbox. Her very first handmade dish is finally complete. With absolute stars in her eyes, she shows off the meal, while the blonde cheers for this hard-won victory. Except minutes earlier, total chaos. A flaming pan had the MC completely convinced that romance cooking is a literal hazard. Catching a whiff of spices, the big guy complains his rumbling stomach is demanding some actual food. Stepping right up, he totally takes over the stove, offering to whip up a super quick dinner for everyone. Flashing a confident grin, the kid cracks his knuckles. Just leave all the heavy lifting to him. Now watch closely, the boy unleashes absolute culinary terror, massive flames shooting up like a true frantic master chef. Moving at lightning speed, our buff guy sautés everything with insane skill, leaving both girls completely hypnotized. Served up hot, the golden fried rice literally shines on the table, releasing a mouth-watering aroma. Scarfing it down instantly, the girls praise every single bite. They are totally blown away by the perfect flavor. Blown away by his talent, Rika wonders how long he has actually been manning the stove like a pro. Thinking back, the kid calculates he has been doing this since freshman year of high school. Remembering his past body, he explains how his sweet mom used to wake up right in the middle of the night just to prep his lunchbox. Totally touched the blonde, nearly tears up, realizing he learned to cook just to save his hardworking mom from pure exhaustion. Flipping the subject, Rika asks who actually makes lunch for Tojo. Shattering that heavy emotional mood, the redhead happily admits her. Dear mommy makes hers with lots of love. Suddenly, the blonde remembers the whole real reason they visited today. She actually brought a super special surprise. Handing over a fancy gift box, she reveals a huge shopping trip. An entire arsenal of brand new makeup. Full of absolute affection, Rika explains, she wrote down the whole skincare routine on a little note. That way the redhead will not get lost in endless creams. Planning their next move, the expert declares that right after makeup they are going out to buy fresh clothes. Sizing her up, Rika gives it to her straight. The school style of Tojo needs a massive and urgent rescue mission. Without mercy, she roasts the redhead for dressing like a tracksuit grandpa. You and I definitely felt that burn, right? Yu Sung barely holds back a laugh. With her pride totally wounded, the girl clenches her fists. She promises to master this makeup and secure that date forever. Hyped by her determination, Kishimoto officially opens the beauty salon. She quickly orders the boy to wait right there. Annoyed at getting excluded, the MC asks if he is just getting ditched. The blonde sharply retorts that spying on a girl during her transformation is an absolutely heinous crime. Yanking her friend by the hand, Rika vanishes down the hallway with insane energy. She needs to perform a total fashion miracle far away from the guys. Left alone in the living room, our buff guy looks totally dumbfounded. He grumbles. They originally claimed his opinion was actually crucial. Later that night, strolling back down the dark street, the boy openly admits to the blonde that this chaotic outing was surprisingly fun. Standing under the glowing lamplight, he sincerely confesses that he is totally rooting for the redhead to finally snag that romantic date. Shifting gears, the kid suggests a quick convenience store run just to grab the brand new weekly manga magazine. Staring at the shelf, Rika repeats her dad. She states with absolute certainty that people who love reading comics are never bad people. Cutting straight to the chase, the blonde asks if he seriously buys this manga religiously every single week. Quietly observing his reaction, Rika firmly concludes in her own mind that the Korean is undeniably a great guy. Flashing a genuinely warm smile, she says anyone who tries this hard to help a friend has a pure heart of gold. She locks her gaze on him, stating with absolute certainty that he is a good person. Then suddenly, she completely panics about the time rushing to pay and sprinting off. Standing alone in the store, the confused kid tries processing her wild escape. He ironically concludes she probably just had a bad stomachache. The next day, the sun hits the school as spicy new gossip completely floods the hallways. Guys whisper in awe about a stunning new face. Trust me, you are going to want to see this. Stick with me here. Everyone is completely losing their minds over how absurdly cute this newcomer is. Walking with total style, a fully revamped Tojo Karen strides right up to the classroom. Zero hesitation, she slams her hand on our main character's desk, dropping a mysterious envelope. Striking a super tough girl pose, she tells Sakamoto it is an official challenge letter, demanding he meet her over the weekend. Absolutely stunned by her beauty, the blonde stutters, failing to even recognize his own classmate. Bam, fast forward to the weekend. The Shibuya district is super packed. Meeting up with the crew, our guy actually praises the redhead, saying that whole challenge letter thing was seriously epic. Joking around, the big guy asks if he can just call the tough mob girl Karen Chan, which makes her blush instantly. Inside the women's clothing section, our boy feels like he landed on Mars. Dragged around by the blonde, he remembers Tojo asked for help but still complains about being basically kidnapped for this. Scanning the racks, Rika spots a super cute outfit and instantly snatches the piece right up. Pushing the redhead forward, the fashion expert tells her poor guinea pig to try on the look right away. Now watch this madness. They go into an absolute shopping frenzy, bombarding poor Karen with outfits non-stop. Giving her zero chance to run away, the blonde shoves her friend into the fitting room holding 50 hangers. Trying to dodge the embarrassment, the redhead screams that cute clothes just do not fit her face. Losing her patience, Rika barges straight into the stall, telling the tough mafia girl to shut up while she works her absolute magic. Outside, the guys hear highly suspicious noises, and the redhead panicking about being touched somewhere sensitive, absolutely shocking them. Opening the curtain, Tojo steps out, shaking with pure embarrassment. While frantically trying to pull down, the Rika demands a male opinion from the big guy, and he just drops the honest truth, telling her the outfit looks absolutely perfect. Blushing so hard, the redhead stares in the mirror, finally realizing the insane power of a really good wardrobe. You probably forgot she is Yakuza, right? The scene abruptly shifts back to her gloomy mafia mansion. Smack in the middle of a super tense meeting, the top mafia brass discuss something of absolute extreme importance. Sitting right at the head of the table, boss Tojo Noto glares at his terrified henchman with pure murder. Known on the streets as Bloodbath, her terrifying dad announces that his precious daughter has huge news. Stabbing a sharp knife straight into the wooden table, the old man announces his heiress finally found a boy. Instantly, the whole room goes silent with shock, wondering what absolute idiot has the guts to date the Yakuza princess. Seething with intense jealousy, the boss swears he will never hand his little girl over to some random street punk, demanding answers. Noto asks for the unlucky guy's name. His henchman immediately confirms the target is officially named Sakamoto. Analyzing a photo of the blonde kid, the angry boss discovers he attends the exact same elite academy as Karen. Flexing his intel, the right-hand man mentions he secretly followed the young mistress to the beauty salon yesterday. Pulling out his phone, the mobster shows off a maxed-out credit card bill, completely full of women's clothing store purchases. Putting two and two together, the fiercely jealous dad concludes his daughter is planning a massive romantic weekend date. Exploding with pure rage, the old man screams Sakamoto's name, totally trashing his office while the henchman desperately calms him. Without even hesitating, the furious leader calls in every single gang member who had the weekend off. Yanking his knife from the wood, Noto declares the official mafia mission today is to completely spy on them. They have to stop any funny business from this blonde kid. Screaming in unison, the high-ranking mafia executives accept their orders, kicking off this absolutely bizarre spy operation. Our trio of friends stops at a diner to recharge after shopping. Slumped in her chair, Rika heavily sighs, completely wiped out in front of a giant mountain of burgers. Complaining about being tired, the blonde barely chews while our MC happily devours his massive meal in total peace. Absolutely glowing with gratitude, the redhead sincerely thanks Rika, who instantly shoots back that this is what friendship is for. Wiping her face, the blonde calls the shopping trip a total win, and Tojo happily agrees. Noticing the giant's appetite, the mob girl offers to buy him more burgers, but he declines, wanting rice dishes instead. Pushing the kindness further, Karen tells him to speak up if he gets hungry, promising the Yakuza will cover his tab. Staring right at her, our boy realizes that beneath her scary gangster exterior, she is genuinely a super caring person. Catching him staring, she blushes, asking if there is sauce on her face. We just witnessed peak wholesome romance. Let's jump right into this wildrom.com madness. Laughing it off, he quickly changes the subject to tomorrow's date plans. Karen drops her completely basic schedule. We are talking standard coffee, a random movie, and just a regular dinner. Bam Rika slams the table and screams out loud. She roasts her friend's naive idea, totally terrifying everyone in the cafe. Acting like a total love guru, the blonde insists boring cliches never capture a guy's heart. Whipping out her phone, this self-proclaimed expert highly recommends hitting up the massive city aquarium instead. Hyping the spot, Rika raves about those super romantic glowing blue lights. Fish swimming beautifully in the water set the ultimate mood. Painting the perfect picture, the expert guarantees that whispering in that dark aquarium is an absolute cheat code for instant romance. Totally sold, the redhead swears to stick to the plan. Meanwhile, our MC just rolls his eyes at this crazy scheme. Outside under the night sky, the guy finally waves goodbye, wishing her serious luck on tomorrow's big dating mission. Waving back, the duo splits off from the redhead, letting her head home with a happy smile. But wait, Rika instantly lunges, grabbing the buff guy's arm to block his escape. Clearly plotting something sneaky, she interrogates him about his Saturday plans. He basically admits he will just rot away reading manga all weekend long. Rejecting that lame excuse, the blonde recruits our MC to secretly spy on Tojo's date. He furiously tries backing out to save his precious weekend. Busting out the ultimate puppy dog eyes, she guilt-trips him about protecting their friends. And yeah, the giant completely caves to her emotional blackmail. Cheering her big win, Rika lands a high five, officially establishing this ridiculous new amateur spy duo. Now pay attention, this is hilarious. The date begins and the city becomes pure chaos with a kid pointing at this super suspicious disguised guy. Out on the streets, Yakuza mobsters in trench coats set up heavy surveillance around the romantic date spot. Showing up looking totally clueless, the blonde Sakamoto finally arrives, asking if the girl waited very long. Flashing an absolutely heart-melting smile, the glowing redhead promises she just reached the meeting spot. Turning red as a tomato, our protagonist praises her cute outfit, sparking a wonderfully sweet vibe perfectly. Walking side by side, the lovebirds kick off their first date, entirely clueless about the creepy weirdos stalking their moves. Agreeing on the next step, they decide to grab some tea and plan things. Moving super sneakily, our amateur spy duo shadows them down the block. Confident in his disguise, the kid thinks it is flawless while she is glowing. Way too hyped up, the romance expert sprints ahead, leaving the huge guy behind. Reaching the doors of the famous cafe, the blonde remarks on its absolutely massive popularity. Literally drooling with rage, the redhead's overprotective dad punches a wall after seeing his hated future son-in-law. Furious, the boss screams that making his precious princess wait 5 whole minutes is utterly unforgivable. Desperately calming the beast, his henchman points out they are attracting every single eyeball on the street. With 9 huge mobsters crammed together, the glasses guy suggests splitting into pairs to actually blend in. Accepting that smart idea, the leader orders everyone to spread out and shadow the target without raising alarms. We both felt that romantic cafe vibe, right? Well, that mood completely vanishes when a massive family-sized ice cream drops onto their table. Totally amazed, the redhead calls the dessert gorgeous, though Sakamoto seriously doubts she can finish that monster. Hiding at the very next table, Rika harshly judges the protagonist, labeling him a total wimp for rejecting the challenge. At that exact second, the entire mafia fully occupies the nearby tables, and the boss suddenly feels a strange presence. Even hidden in the crowd, Yusung's disguise fails to stop the menacing men in suits from slowly approaching. Feeling a terrifying, murderous aura behind him, our MC instantly realizes these freaks belong to the redhead's crazy family. Shooting a deadly glare, the terrifying Yakuza leader fiercely skewers the hooded giant. Despite the bizarre disguise, the old boss easily notices the striking similarity and recognizes the boy's huge build. Completely ignoring the crushing mafia pressure, he focuses on the mission after hearing the couple is heading to see the dolphins next. Sticking strictly to the script, our lovebirds agree to hit the city aquarium right away. Flashing a deeply contagious smile, the mob girl is clearly loving every single second. Meanwhile, Yusung quietly warns his partner that this wild chase is about to get way more intense than expected. Rushing into the subway station, the loud alarm signals that the train doors are closing. And that is where we leave it. The spy duo leaps inside just as the doors slam. Totally crushed by the massive crowd, the blonde screams, yelling at everyone to stop pushing. You and I have totally felt this panic. Pressed against her, the buff guy asks for patience while she freaks out against his chest. Suddenly, he notices some sketchy movement nearby. Acting fast, he uses his own massive body as a human shield, keeping the blonde from getting completely squashed by the mob. The second those doors pop open, a wild herd of passengers charges out, shoving absolutely everyone. Terrified of losing their main target, the main character grabs the blonde's hand right in the middle of this absolute chaos. Yanking the girl with raw force, he sprints, bulldozing a clean path through the station. Outside, the dynamic duo finally catches their breath, barely surviving that insane train rush. Blushing super hard, the romance expert sheepishly asks to get her hand back. Feeling totally awkward, the kid immediately drops her fingers, apologizing profusely. She just grumbles playfully, demanding he be way more gentle next time around. Completely confused by that, the Korean guy mentally wonders where on earth she got the crazy idea of a next time. Making matters way worse, the light flips to red and our spy duo completely loses sight of the lovebirds at the crosswalk. But staying completely chill, the big guy remembers their final destination is the aquarium, suggesting they just head straight over there. Trapped in this pedestrian traffic jam, the suited syndicate men angrily curse the city's ridiculously huge crowds. Totally annoyed, one henchman regrets leaving the car while his buddy reminds him, weekends here are always pure hell. Hiding under his hood, Yusung spots the mobsters, confirming they are definitely the exact same guys from the mansion. Dodging unnecessary drama, the kid quietly slips out of their direct line of sight. But right then, Glasses Guy points a finger, instantly warning the boss about this super suspicious hooded dude. Racking his memory, the leader suddenly recognizes his daughter's friend, the one who helped plan the date days ago. Sizing up the boy's build, the boss admits this kid practically screams hired professional hitman. Since the redhead is totally gone, the old man orders his mafia gang to tail these amateur spies as a solid plan B. Stomping firmly down the pavement, the entire mafia marches together closely, tailing Yusung and Rika. Right at the aquarium's main entrance, our protagonist couple finally makes it to their planned date destination. Beyond excited, the mob girl drags the blonde straight into the building, grinning ear to ear. Now watch closely. That kendo club bully with the bandaged nose suddenly crashes the scene, absolutely thirsty for some cold-blooded revenge. Squinting hard, the troublemaker recognizes Sakamoto casually walking arm in arm with the girl. Spitting pure venom, the bully's sidekick points at their target, totally blaming the blonde for getting them kicked out of the club. Literally shaking with rage, the delinquent swears to completely destroy the protagonist right then and there. Totally clueless about the upcoming danger, the blonde and the main character keep discreetly spying near those massive aquariums. With the location's moody, dark blue lighting, visibility becomes incredibly tricky for our little espionage team. Even through the dark, the Korean spots a massive detail about the lovebirds' current romantic mood. Shocking, absolutely everyone, the date is going perfectly, and the redhead literally cannot stop laughing. I know what you're thinking. Seeing this undeniable romantic success, the big guy questions if they actually still need to spy. Swapping scenes, we cut straight to the park, where the couple is already laying out a cozy blanket for a cute picnic. Cracking open his giant lunchbox, Yusuke reveals an absolutely jaw-dropping feast of kimbap and sushi. Completely stunned by the massive meal, Rika drools while he explains he cooked this epic feast just to survive the intense strain of spying. Wasting zero time, the blonde attacks the food, hyping up the buff guy's flawless seasoning. This meme couple chats about how the aquarium trip was totally epic and packed with gorgeous fish. Sweating pure bullets, the redhead totally freezes up when it's time to reveal the special homemade lunch she cooked. Binoculars glued to his face, the main character spots her panicking, knowing it's her very first time cooking for her ultimate crush. We get a flashback of the mob girl begging for cooking tips online, practicing this exact recipe day and night like a maniac. Totally blown away by the lunchbox, the blonde's eyes go wide, asking if she actually made everything from scratch. Blushing super hard, she nods, telling the boy to stuff his face with as much as he wants because there is plenty to go around. The very second Sakamoto takes a bite of that rice ball, Karen holds her breath in absolute nail-biting tension. Boom! The blonde's face completely lights up as he yells, "The food is incredible," instantly melting all the anxiety from her heart. Hyped by his praise, the redhead happily spears another piece, literally feeding it directly into the boy's mouth with her own 2 hands. Getting incredibly flustered, the protagonist happily chews the snack, accepting the hand-fed meal just like an excited kid. Flashing a bright smile, the blonde promises her this second bite is also 100% perfect. Bursting with joy, the mob girl smiles with pure relief, realizing every single second of kitchen prep was totally worth it. So where does this leave us? Riding that amazing mood, the redhead tells him to try everything, offering a rice ball with total affection. Stick with me, we are watching the most chaotic date ever. Taking a massive bite, Sakamoto beams, proving her handmade lunchbox is absolutely sensational. He leaves the mob girl completely glowing with a warm heart. Full of relief, the redhead clasps her hands together. Blushing hard, she realizes her hard work finally paid off. Hiding in the bushes, Rika celebrates. She whispers that their date is going incredibly well. The giant kid nods along, but honestly, he finds it way too weird that this plan is actually working flawlessly. Frying his brain cells, Yusung calls out the fake romance expert. She has never dated, only learning this stuff from manga. Laughing right in his face, Rika bluntly admits her zero experience. But she swears she has helped tons of couples hook up at school. Swallowing his pride, the buff guy sighs. Seeing the lovebirds pack up their picnic blanket, he decides they better keep following them. Deaf to his doubts, the blonde insists she is a top-tier counselor, totally ignoring his worries. Strolling peacefully through the park, the vibe between Sakamoto and the redhead hits maximum cuteness overload. Peeking from behind a tree, Rika whispers this mood is perfect for a confession. Now pay attention because everything flips here. A loud fight shatters the silence, startling our spies. Glancing sideways, Yusung and Rika completely freeze in shock. A nasty group of delinquents is surrounding our lovebirds right in the middle of the park. Flashing a twisted smile, the gang leader cheers. He says he has been hunting these 2 losers all over. With heavy taunts, the bully accuses Sakamoto of being a player who stole their girl recently. Panicking, Rika asks if they should call the cops. Yusung shuts it down, that will take way too long. Not backing down, Sakamoto recognizes these brutes from the kendo club. The guys mock him, demanding payback. Sweating bullets, the redhead remembers her alleyway panic. But she also remembers the blonde bravely saving her from these thugs. Shaking with fear, the girl recalls how our protagonist brutally beat these 2 cowards in a totally unfair fight. Whining about his pain, the kendo troublemaker cries. Being expelled meant losing his chance to see Captain Fuma every day. Exploding with pure rage, Tojo screams out, cursing these 2 idiots for ruining her special day. Pointing right at the delinquents, the mob girl snaps that their trash attitude got them banned. Shocked by her cute makeup, the troublemakers take a solid minute to even recognize Senior Tojo. Laughing at her major glow-up, the bandaged jerk mocks her outfit, calling Sakamoto a 2-faced loser. Looking down on the couple, the thug points at the blonde. He claims they mismatch completely, and he only loves violence. Furious, Sakamoto tells the punk to shut his mouth. He swears Tojo never deserves to be insulted like that. You didn't think this was fair, right? The goons just laugh, asking if he actually came alone. Yelling for backup, the kendo jerk loudly calls his big brother into the brawl. Stomping the ground heavily, a muscular blonde steps up. He glares, asking who dared hit his boys. Sucking up hard, the guys introduce Hayashi as the absolute legend of the Kitayama streets. Desperate, Sakamoto tells the redhead to run away. He warns that he is the only real target. With an evil smirk, the giant blonde tells our boy to stop playing around because this fight is completely serious now. In a flash, the criminal leader forcefully grabs Karen by her wrist, absolutely terrifying the poor girl. Yanking the mob girl close, Hayashi sneers that she should totally ditch this weak loser and just come party with him. Screaming her name, the blonde tries to jump in, but the cowardly goons block him. With one brutal shove, Sakamoto flies backward. He yells at the gang to get lost immediately. Sick of just watching, Yusung mutters under his breath, telling Rika to stay right there. Trying to break free, Tojo screams desperately for our protagonist amidst the total chaos of the park. Then, boom. A fast blur crosses the scene, completely ruining the gang's fun in a split second. Full of ego, the blonde leader is about to drop another snide remark, but suddenly a colossal hand violently grabs his arm. Completely confused by the insane pressure, Hayashi gulps, hard feeling the weight of that monster grip. With a violent twist, our MC crushes the thug's wrist with absurd force, forcing out a shrill scream. The heavy impact slams the brute into the ground like a rag doll, terrifying his gang. Staring with pure murder in his eyes, the giant kid growls. He hates repeating himself, demanding they release his friend right now. The goon screams in absolute panic. What hole did this Korean wardrobe crawl from to crush their boss? Drooling with pain and pure hatred, Hayashi curses the MC, accusing him of fighting dirty from behind. Trust me, this guy completely messed up. Sweating bullets, the thug checks his swollen arm, wondering how this monster actually trains. Deep down, the punk knew this was no cheap shot. Stick with me, you're about to see the insane gap between a street thug and a real monster. Watching this absolute mess from the sidelines, the Yakuza advisor wonders if the boss will intervene. Let's rewind a sec. The mafia crew had been desperately searching the park, totally panicking after losing track of their precious boss's daughter. Spotting the chaos from far away, the advisor quickly points. The boss immediately recognizes the redhead getting dragged by those absolute punks. Totally annoyed, the mob princess struggles to break the blonde loser's grip, while her dad is practically foaming at the mouth with pure rage. Absolutely furious, Naoto almost draws his piece to blast the idiot who actually dared to touch his little princess. Prepping the big guns, the crew was ready to completely snap, but the boss suddenly orders everyone to stand down. Keeping his cool, the old man tells them, the Yakuza has absolutely no business interfering in some petty high school drama. Dead serious, the boss points right at the giant hooded kid, ordering his men to pay close attention to that insane aura. Feeling that heavy, suffocating pressure, the boss actually trembles. He realizes this kid's strength is totally unnatural. Forcing a tense smile, the old mobster admits he's felt this exact terrifying energy before. Flashbacks of Russia rush back, bringing up the truly sinister image of Ivan the Destroyer, the absolute boss of the Red Mafia. Remembering his face-to-face meeting with that Russian monster back in Japan, Naoto confesses the pure terror he felt that day. Sizing the kid up, the old man swears this Korean gives off the exact same underworld predator vibe. Completely fascinated, he wonders how a random student named Kim Yusong could possibly radiate the same pure darkness as a literal crime lord. Now pay attention here. Our main character takes a deep breath, totally throws the original manga plot away, and takes complete control. With a pitch-black aura exploding from his body, Yusong coldly informs the gang he is about to take out the trash using pure brute force. Acting strictly on protective instinct, he orders Tojo to grab Sakamoto and run, making sure they won't get caught in the brutal crossfire. Super worried about the big guy, the mob girl hesitates. But he firmly promises he will never lose to a bunch of weak nobodies. Completely furious at this audacity, the blonde boss screams, curses our MC, and throws a massive punch, demanding some respect. Moving at blinding speed, the thug's fists cut right through the air, literally creating motion blurs, they are so fast. Hype level max, his goon shouts with joy, convinced the leader's insane speed will just crush the Korean. Dripping with cocky confidence, Hayashi smirks, thinking a punch that fast is totally impossible to dodge. Without even blinking, Yusong takes the impact head-on. He doesn't move a single centimeter, like hitting a solid concrete wall. Completely frustrated by this absurd defense, the blonde curses and winds up his next blow, desperate to break the big guy down. Throwing another savage punch, the punk aims for a different spot, only for his fist to just bounce right off the kid's insane muscle mass. Hiding way in the back, the blonde starts shaking. He watches this Korean beast just absorb every blow without even a single groan of pain. Completely ignoring the absolute beatdown, Tojo calls out the big guy's name, terrified for her friend in the middle of this mess. Clutching his shattered arm, the loser backs away, shaking, totally clueless about Yusong's godlike impenetrable defense. Radiating that dark aura, our MC glares down at the punk leader, declaring that from this second on, any hit is pure self-defense. Let that sink in for a second. Before the punk even understands, the air literally distorts from the incoming pressure. Sounding like an absolute bomb going off, the kid's fist crushes the mobster's face with totally colossal, earth-shattering force. The impact is so massive, it shatters teeth and wrecks the guy's jaw. Clearly, this is way beyond normal high school strength. Launched like a crumpled piece of paper, the blonde spins helplessly through the air before slamming flat on the ground from the sheer impact. Watching this pure nightmare, the gang completely panics. Yusong coldly explains he had to end things in just one blow, otherwise this would have definitely turned into a literal murder scene. Absolutely shaking in their boots, the thugs stare at their wrecked leader, whispering in pure shock that that punch was basically a death sentence. Boiling with absolute rage, the big guy flares his insane purple aura. He warns them they made the fatal mistake of touching his friends. Whimpering pathetically on the ground, one idiot actually tries a threat screaming his dad is a high-ranking cop and the big guy is going to jail. Zero time for that nonsense. The Korean just stomps hard on the ground, brutally smashing the cocky kid's face right into the solid concrete. Unleashing a frantic combo, an absolute rain of savage punches, destroys the rest of the gang all at once, showing zero mercy. Left on the park dirt like garbage bags, the bullies just groan in pure agony, completely begging for mercy after that god-tier beatdown. Cold as absolute ice, the MC shakes his bloody fist. He orders the remaining losers to get lost, and never ever show their faces near Sakamoto again. Terrified of dying, they scream and run for their lives. And trust me, you and I just watched one hell of a beatdown. Let's jump into the awkwardness. Yoosung turns to the couple with a bruised face, but the lovebirds just freeze, staring at our guy like that. Completely ignoring his own cuts, the kid just turns around, apologizes, and tells them to enjoy the rest of their date. Right on cue, the blonde shows up screaming. She curses out the MC for sneaking off instead of hitting a pharmacy for those injuries. Waving his hands frantically, the boy tries calming the absolute beast. He admits it is the very first time he has seen Rika this mad about anything. Once the screaming fades, the park goes dead quiet. A super heavy, awkward mood settles right over Tojo and Sakamoto. Trying to break that terrible ice, the blonde sits on a bench and sighs, instantly catching the sad mob girl's attention. Drowning in guilt, the redhead apologizes. She admits this whole violent mess only went down because of her. Shaking his head, he swears it wasn't her fault. That whole kendo fight, it only started because those guys came after him. Sakamoto takes a deep breath and freezes. Staring at the horizon, he finally gathers the courage to speak his mind to Tojo. Looking right at the redhead, the blonde smiles and bluntly drops the bomb. He really likes the mob girl. Now, watch closely, because here is where it gets painful. His expression drops, he apologizes, and straight up begs Tojo to forget about any romance between them. Heart totally sinking, the redhead stammers, desperate for a reason. She declares with absolute certainty that she just wanted to go on a date with him. Looking away, totally embarrassed, Sakamoto sweats bullets. He admits he is being selfish, the heavy truth literally stuck in his throat. On the verge of tears, Tojo feels that physical stab in her chest. She can already see the brutal rejection coming. Getting desperate, she tries forcing the issue. She promises to change anything if he didn't enjoy their date. Taking the emotional hit, the blonde insists she is amazing. The real problem? It's his own incredibly stupid circumstances. Lowering his head, he drops the classic trope. He reveals a childhood promise to marry some little girl from his past. Totally firm in this ridiculous decision, he declares he won't date anyone until he finds that promised girl again. Completely shaken, the mob girl blinks. She asks if he is seriously still attached to a childhood romance after all these years. Being totally honest, Sakamoto admits he barely remembers it, but he confesses he really did like that girl from his childhood. Confirming the ultimate cliché, the redhead sighs. She accepts that this mysterious childhood friend was her crush's real first love. Swallowing her tears, Tojo promises to drop it. She takes the rejection surprisingly well, trying to look super mature right now. Forcing a massive smile, the girl completely hides her pain. She praises the outing, swearing today was actually a really fun day. Caught off guard by her quick escape, the blonde gives a weak smile. He says goodbye, watching her turn her back. We all know this feeling, right? Quickening her pace, the redhead flees through the park, holding her heartbreak together until she is finally alone. Watching from the sidelines, Yoosung has zero clue how to handle this drama. He awkwardly suggests that Rika should head home first. Totally confused, the blonde finds it weird that her partner is ditching her. She wants to tag along, but he flat out refuses. Blowing a quick farewell kiss, Rika says she will see him next week as the afternoon fades. Sakamoto just looks super upset. The kid takes off after the redhead completely lost about the sudden mood shift. Tailing her from a distance, the MC notices Tojo's desperate steps. She is literally sprinting through the park like an absolute madwoman. Finally catching her in a dark alley, the Korean calls her name, desperate to find out what the heck just went wrong. Turning around with red eyes and tears streaming, Karen tries to fake it. She uselessly pretends her entire world hasn't just collapsed. Rolling his eyes, he bluntly points out that clearly nothing is okay. She finally breaks down, sitting on the dirty ground to just cry. Kneeling right beside her, Yoosung tries playing the good guy. He suggests she just let it all out to release that pent-up sadness. Shaking with pure anger, the redhead grumbles about the brutal humiliation. She confesses she has never shown this much weakness to anyone ever. Staring at the pavement, the big guy sighs. He gently reminds her that's what friends are for, helping the girl finally calm down. Breaking the silence, the mob girl randomly blurts it out. She actually knew he and Rika were spying since the middle of the date. Sweating bullets over getting busted in that amateur disguise, the kid completely panics. He genuinely wonders how an extra managed to spot them in such a nonsensical manga cliché. Ignoring his embarrassment, the redhead hits him with facts. If they were paranoid enough to follow her, they clearly had zero faith in the plan actually working. Wiping her puffy eyes, the mob girl apologizes for being useless. She tragically whines that she thought the cute dress would solve everything. Feeling guilty, she finally admits absolute defeat. You and I both know the painful truth here. There was no space in his heart, and forcing it just made things way worse. Clutching her aching chest, the girl completely breaks down, admitting this brutal rejection is driving her insane. Sit with me here. Yusung just listens in dead silence, realizing this is the very first time he's seeing genuine raw pain in this crazy isekai. Screaming from the bottom of her soul, she bawls her eyes out, confessing she was head over heels for the blonde protagonist. Taking a hard gulp, the big guy mentally processes just how absolutely ridiculous this whole situation is. He flashes back to meeting Rika, remembering that fake smile he always plastered on just to play nice. Filled with guilt, he admits that deep down he still saw everyone as mere drawings. Just a little stage play put on for his own entertainment. Frying his brain over it, our main character questions if treating Tojo's brutal heartbreak as some irrelevant comic book drama is really fair. Deciding right then to flip the script, he abruptly stands up from the grass. Reaching his hand out, he tells the mob girl to get up off the dirt. Straight to the point, he jokingly warns that if she keeps bawling her eyes out here, someone is calling the cops for a noise complaint. Finding his total idiocy kind of funny, Karen wipes away her tears and actually flashes a sweet, genuine smile. Staring right at her, our main character drops the truth, saying that giggly redhead vibe fits her tough girl style way better anyway. Now watch closely. He yanks off his bloody hoodie, throws it aside, and declares the sadness ends today. Completely baffled by this sudden shift, she just stares as the massive guy hands over his own tracksuit jacket for her. Catching her totally off guard, he bluntly announces their new plan. They are curing this heartbreak by screaming karaoke for the rest of the entire night. Tossing his jacket over the mob girl's head, he decrees she will scream into that mic until she forgets the jerk and purges the pain forever. Chuckling, the girl finds this consolation totally absurd. She follows the Korean, just laughing at how completely insane her life is now. Glancing down at the giant jacket, swallowing her frame, Karen whispers softly to herself. She thinks this is literally the dumbest, most random idea in the world, letting out another genuine belly laugh. Watching her laugh, the Korean guy realizes that at the end of the day, these are just normal people dealing with normal problems. You felt that switch too, right? Seeing her smile, he finally accepts these aren't game NPCs, they have real feelings. Far from the street, the Yakuza boss sips his drink, commenting the boy has a golden heart, and feeling truly happy for his daughter. Surviving in such a deadly underworld, the old mobster swears that kids like this buff guy are an absolute rare gem. Nodding in respect, his henchman totally agrees the monstrously strong kid is genuinely good-natured. Meanwhile, Yusung mentally hopes to bump into the mafia crew again someday, flashing a very sincere smile. Cut to the karaoke room. Tojo shows zero mercy to her vocal cords, belting lyrics and screaming like an absolute madwoman. Yelling right into his ear, the redhead demands the big guy get out of his chair and conquer the next track at max volume. A few days later, Rika finally visits the big guy's house, absolutely shell-shocked by a bedroom literally crammed with gym equipment. Dumbfounded, the blonde asks if every guy has a whole bodybuilding studio in their room. He casually replies, obviously not. Glancing down at the floor, the girl spots two completely massive dumbbells resting right on the rug. Totally clueless about how heavy they actually are, she tries to lift one. The iron bar does not budge a single millimeter. Mocking her weak attempt, our main character warns that weight equals half her entire body mass. She is never picking that up. Trying to process this weird situation, he remembers they were just having a perfectly normal walk home from school. But halfway there, the so-called romance expert's stomach violently rumbled, literally loud enough to be heard from across the street. Startled by the sheer noise, the main character asks if she is hungry already, especially since she ate a massive lunch. Leaping with pure joy, the blonde instantly remembers his parents own a fancy restaurant right nearby. Sighing, he agrees that feeding a friend one quick dinner won't bankrupt the family. The scene shifts to the humble yet absolutely superb restaurant owned by his family in a quiet neighborhood. Parked at the table, Rika shows zero mercy to her stomach, viciously devouring every single plate of food Yusung places down. Taking a massive gulp of her Coke, the blonde feels pure bliss wash over her after literally scraping every plate completely clean. Rika highly praises his mom's cooking. The mother is totally smitten, just thrilled seeing this girl eat so happily. Hitting it off instantly with his mom, the blonde bravely asks for seconds. His mother sprints back to the stove, happier than ever to host a guest. Quietly sipping his tea, the main character realizes this girl seriously knows her food. She perfectly praised the traditional dish and totally conquered his mom's heart. Shouting with excitement, the girl loudly thanks them for the epic meal. She immediately drags him away, declaring his room is next. Trust me, we are not ready. You and I have been there, red as a tomato, our guy yells, asking why she is invading his personal space. With a sneaky wink, she straight up announces she is snooping through his room to uncover all his juicy little secrets. Fast forward to now, he hands over some juice, feeling like a massive idiot for not just saying no to this crazy girl. Giving up on understanding female logic, he offers the drink. Meanwhile, the blonde is already comfy in his swivel chair. Flipping through pages, she spots something weird, a massive pile of super sappy romance manga sitting right in the corner. Trying to hide his panic, our MC fakes surprise, claiming he thought she only read action shonen. Sweating bullets, the big guy swears those romance books are purely for reference. Not because he actually enjoys cliché love stories. Suddenly, Rika gets wide-eyed. She just spotted an ancient copy of Golden Samurai on his shelf. Totally hyped, Yusung confirms that this old masterpiece is hands down his all-time favorite manga. Drooling over the art, she is amazed. These are super rare first editions, almost impossible to find anywhere now. Admiring it, he absolutely fanboys, praising the spectacular art and that crazy good plot from start to finish. Nodding along, Rika completely agrees. The character development was way ahead of its time. Watch closely here. He keeps babbling about plot twists until he notices her looking at him with this really sly smile. Boom. Rika drops the massive bomb, grinning as she announces her own dad is the genius creator of Golden Samurai. Brain completely short-circuiting, our MC just stands there stammering, trying to process that this annoying girl is literally the daughter of a living manga legend. Screaming the name Kishimoto Musashi, he finally connects the dots. That last name was not just a random coincidence. Brain working overtime, he realizes her blonde hair comes from her British mom. The exact same mom the internet always gossips about. Yusung feels so stupid right now. He totally fell for that classic anime cliché, the friend with a famous secret dad. Racking his brain, he suddenly remembers going to her massive mansion on the day of their date. The living legend was right there hiding the entire time, and he did not ask for a single autograph. Without skipping a beat, the ultimate fanboy screams, begging the blonde to score an autograph during the upcoming Golden Week holiday. Crying absolute rivers of happy tears, he begs to meet the legend. She promises to set it up. Loving this mood, Rika playfully asks what his absolute favorite part of the story is. Head totally in the clouds, Yusung admits he loves all the author's stuff. But this specific manga holds a special place in his heart. Smiling, he says, it is basically perfection. Then he gets super shy, trying to explain the deeper details. Getting serious, she brings up their fight in the park. She totally links his actions to the classic manga's main hero. Looking charmed, Rika says his brave actions instantly reminded her of the samurai hero from Volume 5. I know you remember this. She flashes back to that epic scene where the hero threatens anyone touching his partner's hair. Eyes absolutely sparkling, she declares that mixing raw brute force with fiercely protecting friends is the best trait they both share. Hugging the rare manga tight to her chest, she closes her eyes, smiling. So thankful she has a protector, just like her paper idol. Come Monday, life returns to normal in the super crowded classrooms. Called into the student council room, Yusung gets hit with an annoying chore right during the Golden Week holiday. President Fumiyukika officially calls in his promise to help, and our guy calmly agrees to follow her direct orders. Explaining the drama, the brunette says she needs backup security, basically to scare off a creepy Russian teacher coming for a school exchange. Planning to buy a welcome gift, the president demands that he go out on a shopping trip with her, just to carry bags. Looking arrogant and threatening, she officially summons him for the mission, and warns him that no is not an acceptable answer. With zero escape options, Yusung suggests scheduling it for April 29th, then checks his phone to confirm the date with Rika too. Secretly thrilled by his quick yes, the president celebrates, but warns she will slice his throat if he dares to bail. Finally released, our MC breathes a huge sigh of relief for surviving Fuma's intense, murderous aura. Meanwhile, someone notes her weirdly good mood. What do you guys think will happen next? Letting out a heavy sigh, Yusung plots to reschedule his meeting with the legendary mangaka for the 30th to juggle both appointments. Stick with me, a random guy stops the Korean in the hall, dropping the hottest morning gossip straight from the principal's office. Totally hyped, the gossip remembers that super arrogant freshman duo who basically fought everyone. The same guys kicked out of kendo weeks ago. Dropping an absolute bomb, the guy reveals those two bullies begged for a sudden school transfer this morning, completely terrified. Smirking slightly, Yusung connects the dots. The brutal beating those kids took at the park definitely triggered their sudden escape. Chilling at his desk, our main character is thankful for the sweet relief. Now Sakamoto and the redhead can actually enjoy some real peace. Suddenly, the classroom door slams open. A super smooth female voice apologizes for being late on a tired Monday morning. Beaming with smiles, the English teacher tells the class to open their books and start the week with a bang. As she writes on the board, this gorgeous blonde draws sighs. The kid up front is literally trying not to drool. Actually paying attention, Yoosung notices Rika casually chatting with the teacher while copying notes right off the board. Now watch closely. Teacher Mizuki flashes this beautiful, radiant smile, asking for a randomly chosen student to participate in class today. Having fun with the dates, she suddenly picks student number 204 to read aloud. This absolutely terrifies the poor background character who practically has a heart attack right in class. Trembling, the nerdy kid stands up and tries reading the English textbook, just stuttering completely in front of everyone. Showing zero mercy, the teacher abruptly cuts the reading short and orders Yoosung to introduce himself to the new exchange students. Acting super friendly, she asks him to recommend a cool spot in Japan for a foreigner who just arrived. Standing up, Yoosung bluntly answers that he highly recommends the city of Osaka because of its awesome tourist attractions. Totally caught off guard by the fast answer, the teacher freezes, staring dumbfounded at our big guy. Forcing out some slow claps, she praises his answer, but the entire class knows she absolutely hated it. Leaning over to whisper, Yoosung tells Rika the teacher obviously despised his tourist recommendation. Wearing a really strange smile, the teacher tells him to sit down. Meanwhile, the whole class feels this wildly awkward atmosphere. Sweating bullets, the teacher rethinks the hidden meaning behind that innocent question and starts panicking internally. Figuring it out in seconds, Yoosung instantly confirms his wild theory about this new teacher was perfectly accurate. You and I know the truth, though. Yoosung remembers the manga. This sweet teacher is actually a sadistic psychopath who loves torturing students. Worried about his own crazy reputation, our guy thinks about the absurd school rumors spreading since his very first day. With students whispering he is a Yakuza heir who wiped out an entire gang alone. Yoosung totally gets why she was shaking. Determined to clear his name, the kid swears to act like a perfect angel. During this interview, he desperately wants to erase his scary thug reputation. Back in reality, the teacher checks this monster's file, unable to believe this walking wall of muscle is a normal student. Reading those wild rumors, she is horrified. She genuinely thinks he is an organized crime boss, planning to murder her in cold blood. Out of nowhere, the lounge door bursts open, completely shattering her insanely paranoid thoughts. Sporting a seriously sinister smile, Yoosung steps inside and says, "Good afternoon." The teacher nearly suffers a heart attack from pure shock. Stuttering uncontrollably, the blonde tries hiding her panic, completely denying she was just looking up his supposed criminal record. Seeing the teacher turn pale and sweaty, our big guy stops playing dumb and realizes she is actually terrified of him. Keeping his cool, Yoosung calmly explains he is just here for the mandatory career counseling session. Forcing a very nervous laugh, the teacher tells him to sit down, desperately focusing on work so she does not completely freak out. Getting right to business, she asks what the big guy plans for his future. He admits he has no clue. Still shaking, the teacher drops a massive hint, nervously asking if he plans on taking over his family's super shady business. Absolutely desperate, the blonde pictures our main character running the mafia. Yoosung just sighs, trying to calm this neurotic teacher down. Spilling the truth, he reveals his parents just own a humble restaurant in the suburbs. The teacher breathes a massive sigh of relief. Finally realizing he is just a cook's son, the blonde relaxes her tense shoulders. And just like that, the session finally goes smoothly. Smiling for real this time, she jokes about trying his family's food someday. Yoosung is just incredibly grateful for the peace, and that is where we leave it. Returning to the forum, the boy calmly replies he is great at math and science. Stick with me, you and I are watching this career counseling, where she warns against just chasing talent. Instead, she wants him focused entirely on pure passion. Getting totally real, the teacher explains that life is all about doing what you actually love, not just settling for what you're naturally good at. Yoosung listens closely to her deep wisdom, quickly realizing she isn't the crazy sadist he originally read about. Looking back, our main character confesses he was an absolute genius at engineering, but secretly hated it with burning passion. Totally caught off guard by his honesty, the blushing blonde reveals she never actually wanted to teach, begging him to keep her little secret. Yoosung completely swears he won't laugh at her embarrassing past. Flashing a goofy smile, the teacher admits her ultimate teenage dream was becoming a super famous anime voice actress. Telling the story, she remembers being a kid and completely falling in love with a giant cartoon robot. But when career time hit, her guidance counselor totally crushed her dreams, calling voice acting nothing but a completely useless hobby. Pressured to find stability, the blonde just followed the herd and entered a totally boring college education program. Spilling her regrets, the teacher admits she realized this massive mistake the second she stepped onto the university campus. Staring at a voice acting event pamphlet, she remembers crying her eyes out because she ignored what her own heart truly wanted. She furiously vents about letting someone else dictate her life. Let that sink in for a second, we've all felt that. Dropping this golden advice, the teacher begs Yoosung to think super carefully before locking in any major life decisions. Genuinely moved, our guy realizes this heavy advice is coming from someone who personally lived through the nightmare of a terrible choice. Flashing a massive smile, she wraps up their counseling session, leaving the big guy with some serious newfound respect for her. Standing up, Yu-sung gives her a heartfelt thank you for the honest guidance, making the teacher smile with pure relief. Right then, a colleague walks in asking if that huge kid is the legendary Yakuza heir everyone keeps gossiping about. Shaking her head, she quickly defends him, claiming those gang rumors are just totally fake lies from jealous haters. Fully backing our main character, the blonde swears Yu-sung is actually just an incredibly hardworking and thoughtful student. Strolling down the hallway, Yu-sung feels like a massive weight just magically vanished from his broad shoulders. Suddenly, his daily school life feels a whole lot easier. Breathing easy, the teacher tells her friend that she is totally done judging her students by their scary physical appearances. Fast forward to the massive Golden Week holiday, where insane crowds are packing into the entrance of a famous Tokyo temple. Showing up early, Yu-sung calmly checks his phone, completely noticing President Fuma trying to sneak up on him. Throwing an absolute tantrum, the brunette points right in his face, aggressively yelling that he is late for their meetup. Looking totally glammed up, the president scolds him, demanding to know if he even checked the time they agreed on. Completely lost, our guy just holds up his phone screen, clearly proving they still have 10 minutes until the meetup. Fuma explodes with rage, claiming, "True gentlemen arrive 30 minutes early. You and I both know that logic is crazy." Just playing along, he apologizes, and the president scowls, declaring she will graciously forgive his terrible lateness today. Pointing straight at a sweet stall, she demands he buy her some matcha ice cream as an official formal apology. Rolling his eyes hard, Yu-sung asks why he is paying, but she completely ignores his complaints and turns away. Grumbling under his breath, he buys the spoiled president her ice cream just to avoid a massive, embarrassing public scene. Taking a bite, Fuma closes her eyes, absolutely melting from the perfect rich flavor of that traditional matcha ice cream. Strolling together, the brunette happily devours her treat, while the big guy simply matches his demanding boss's walking pace. Out of absolutely nowhere, Yu-sung asks about their gift strategy, and she instantly freezes like a deer in headlights. Quickly covering her total blank, she orders him to follow along, faking that she had a master plan all day. Suddenly, a hidden earpiece flashes in her ear, and her secret advisor's voice starts navigating. Over the radio line, the glasses-wearing goon spots a fancy craft shop nearby and instructs her to bring him there. Meanwhile, inside a stealthy armored car, two shaded bodyguards are secretly monitoring this entire date, tracking every single step. Stalking the awkward lovebirds, the advisor tells his president to unleash her feminine charm during this top-secret mission. Walking inside the store, Fuma is completely stunned by a gigantic solid Buddha statue just chilling in the center. Thinking she actually likes this weird thing, Yu-sung casually suggests buying the massive golden Buddha as the school gift. Sweating bullets, the shopkeeper nervously quotes 4 million. Fuma nearly has a heart attack, and trust me, you and I are gonna love what happens next. Alright, stick with me here. The brunette fakes it by praising her own expensive taste, claiming these pricey items are just the start. Over the radio, her advisor is absolutely losing it. She warns the president is completely ruining the date and needs to chill out. Panicking, Fuma tells her team to shut up, but Yu-sung is already noticing her total meltdown right there in the luxury shop. Trembling, Fuma gets an earful from her advisor, reminding her that they are strictly here on a spy mission. She orders her to just walk around the temple area instead of wasting cash on random garbage. Gritting her teeth, the teammate tells Fuma to turn around. Their target is literally staring right at her. Sweating bullets, the president suddenly remembers the golden rule of any date. Never ever let the other person get bored. Trying to hide her embarrassment, she boldly grabs the big guy by the hand, throwing out a totally fake excuse on the spot. Yanking his arm, Fuma drags Yu-sung right out of the pricey store, yelling that she completely forgot a super important meeting. Once outside on the asphalt, the Korean guy notices her heavy breathing and genuinely asks if she is feeling sick. Super awkward, the brunette forces a smile, swearing it was just a tiny dizzy spell and nothing to worry about. Trying to look cool, she snaps open her fancy fan and pushes the main character forward, telling him to hurry up. Following new radio orders, the president takes the lead, dragging the poor guy straight to a traditional Japanese clothing shop. Beautiful kimonos sit in the display window. Fuma scans the place, totally focused on her mission to keep the kid distracted. The shop owner tries guessing the exchange student's vibe, recommending some thicker fabrics so the foreigner stays nice and warm. Now watch this. Yu-sung flips the script, dropping a bomb by asking Fuma which style suits her best. Dripping with confidence, the president completely shuts the talk down. Without even checking a single price tag, she demands the owner bring out the absolute best piece they have. Smelling a massive commission, the saleswoman flashes an evil grin of pure profit, promising to fetch the ultimate store treasure. Boom, the owner drops a stunning kimono on the table, treating that massive 500,000 yen price tag like spare change. Checking the options, Yu-sung asks for simpler patterns. But Fuma, she complains about everything, rejecting every single kimono and finding issues with the colors. Minutes pass by. The shop floor is totally covered in clothes because these two just cannot agree on a single thing. Reading the room, the smart saleswoman steps right in to compliment the young couple. She hits them with that classic line, "Everything looks stunning on her." Nudging the girl forward, she casually suggests trying the fabrics on to make this whole gift-buying process easier. Yoosung completely agrees with the lady backing up the idea, because seeing the outfit on her will make paying way easier. Caught completely off guard, poor Fuma gets shoved straight into the changing room. The shop staff shows zero mercy, instantly unbuttoning her clothes. Grabbing the door, the girl completely panics. She is trapped by the relentless shop ladies who give her zero breathing room. Listening outside, advisor Minami hears the boss suffering and yells for her teammate to get in there and help out. But the other guard just shrugs. She says the boss will be totally fine, and she is not ruining her fun. You and I both know she is suffering. Meanwhile, her smug colleague jokes that Fuma is lucky getting dressed with free help. Trapped with nowhere to hide, the president cries on the inside, desperately swearing to stay cool for the secret mission. Trying not to laugh, Yoosung chills on the sofa. Meanwhile, the shop owner totally sucks up to Fuma, hyping her body inside. Out of nowhere, game music blasts from the big guy's phone. He is just killing some time playing a free mobile game. The fitting room door finally opens. The girl steps out, and her stunning new look literally takes everyone's breath away. Yoosung completely freezes on the sofa. He drops his phone instantly, practically drooling over how amazing she looks. Glued to her, he drops a deeply genuine compliment. He tells Fuma she looks absolutely incredible in traditional gear. Blushing slightly, the Korean guy admits the dark kimono matches her pale skin perfectly. Laughing with pure elegance, the president proudly brags that this is exactly what happens when she actually gets serious. Thrilled with the sale, the lady promises to wrap it up fast, while Fuma begs for just 5 minutes of peace alone inside. Once the door clicks shut, she slumps against the wall, finally exhaling that massive breath she was holding in. Shaking from pure embarrassment, the president hides her face, blushing red as a tomato. Hearing his honest praise up close makes her pull her hair. She silently freaks out, completely confused why her heart is racing so fast over a random guy. Back on the street, Fuma realizes every single guy walking past is staring at her in absolute awe. So what do you and I make of this? Sighing in relief, she realizes Yoosung is acting like a shield against the busy crowd. Stick with me, she mentally agrees, admiring his attitude. The guy rocks a strong presence but absolutely knows how to be a proper gentleman. Out of nowhere, she says goodbye, announcing she will call her driver to grab the shopping bag so they can bail soon. Jumping right in, Yoosung shuts that down. He points out Fuma is attracting too much attention just standing around and suggests grabbing a quick snack. Totally confused, the girl asks where they could possibly eat around here. The Korean just points toward a neighborhood packed with manga and figure shops. Completely clueless, the president does not even realize they are standing in the city's ultimate otaku hotspot, while the kid secretly laughs at her. Playing it cool, Yoosung nods and pulls her right down the sidewalk into the busy otaku district. Sweating pure bullets, her undercover bodyguards desperately jump back. They nearly get busted when the duo turns the corner. Complaining endlessly, the advisor groans that they cannot spy properly if the president keeps sprinting around like a totally headless chicken. Shrugging it off, his suited partner totally agrees that the giant kid is obnoxious. But he quickly points out the president definitely does not think so. Entering a classic ramen joint, Yoosung opens the door, flashing a smile at the steaming hot noodle counter. Hiding absolutely zero excitement, the Korean swears it is the best ramen around. Meanwhile, Fuma awkwardly tries to figure out this super simple environment. Now watch closely. Handing her the menu, he dips to the restroom, leaving her completely alone to calmly pick out her casual lunch order. Suddenly, advisor Minami freezes mid-hallway, hit by an absolutely monstrous cramp in his stomach. Panicking, his partner asks what is wrong. Minami just writhes, clutching his gut and violently cursing his life. Figuring it out instantly, his colleague mocks him that matcha ice cream from earlier clearly wrecked his ridiculously weak stomach. Pure desperation. The glasses-wearing advisor cries out in agony, making a mad, frantic dash for the bathroom before disaster strikes right in the busy mall. Finally leaving the stall, the guard sighs with a totally cleansed soul after successfully handling his messy problem. But looking up, bam! He comes completely face-to-face with his actual target, just washing his hands at the restroom sink. Screaming Kim Yoosung out loud, the panicked advisor points his finger, completely unable to believe this insane coincidence of pure fate. Upbeat music plays in the background. Back at the counter, Fuma turns her head annoyed and complaining about the big guy taking forever right as he finally returns. Talk about a colossal shock. The president tilts her head and spots her exact security team planted awkwardly right behind Yoosung. Completely clueless, the Korean just smiles, mentioning he casually bumped into the school vice president in the bathroom. Playing the ultimate nice guy, the big dude explains he invited them to eat for free, as a friendly thank you. Eye twitching in pure rage, Fuma clenches her fists, mentally destroying her team for totally ruining this secret date. You feel her pain, right? Swallowing her massive pride, she flashes a tense smile, forcing herself to tolerate these idiots at the counter. So disappointed, the president just cries on the inside. Her peaceful little outing has instantly turned into an extremely annoying group excursion. Apologizing with her eyes, the blonde guard whispers an excuse. It is all the fault of the weak-stomached idiot who literally caused this massive bust. Instantly changing the mood, the server finally arrives. He loudly slams 3 massive bowls of steaming noodles right down. Staring at her bowl, Fuma completely freezes. She does not even know where to begin eating this soup she has never seen. Catching on, Yu-sung bluntly asks if she has ever actually eaten ramen. She denies it, admitting she only knows super fancy rich people restaurants. Mind blown by how insanely sheltered she is, the kid just laughs. This rich heiress has literally never stepped foot in a normal place. Taking her very first timid bite, the president blows on the hot noodles, popping them in her mouth, super curious about the cheap seasoning. Closing her eyes, the brunette instantly approves. She highly praises the amazing hot broth of this humble dish. Rocking a huge smile, Yu-sung thanks her and tells her to eat up, promising he is boldly paying the entire bill today. Literally drooling over the amazing food, the vice president aggressively wants to scrape his partner's plate, but she angrily yanks the chopsticks from his hand. She tells him to shut up before he ends up stuck in the bathroom again. Fully satisfied with the food, the 4 of them head toward a super noisy arcade right across the street to kill some time. Focused on the claw machine, Fuma tries to snag a brown teddy bear, but the thing slips and drops right back down. She violently stomps her foot in pure frustration. Meanwhile, the blonde guard confidently promises to fish out that exact prize on the next try. On the other side of the arcade, Yu-sung and the glasses-wearing vice president are absolutely smashing the controls in an insane fighting game. That is where we leave it. The cocky advisor celebrates his match victory, violently rubbing his arcade success right in the Korean's face. Stick with me here. With a purple aura of pure hatred, our MC vows revenge, convinced this rich kid is just messing with him, just because he's an outsider. Meanwhile, the advisor just laughs at the big guy's rage, swearing he'll absolutely crush this kid. It's payback for daring to defy the boss. Then bam, both of them completely lose their cool. Time to settle this with a virtual beatdown. They slam more tokens into the arcade machine. Game over. Yu-sung takes a humiliating KO. Fuma just watches the big guy cringe as he holds another massive loss. Absolutely raging, Yu-sung refuses to accept defeat, while Four Eyes just gloats and calls him totally pathetic. Our MC screams that the advisor is a gaming addict, loudly demanding a real fair rematch. Eyes gleaming with arrogance, the rich kid happily accepts the challenge. So what's the next event gonna be? Pointing fiercely, Yu-sung points at the punching machine. They are settling this right now, with pure brute force. The advisor loves the idea. He taunts Yu-sung, real men use their muscles, not mash plastic buttons. Ripping his shirt open right in the arcade, Four Eyes tosses his glasses aside and strikes a fully jacked villain pose. Now watch closely. Can you believe this nerdy rich kid was hiding a literal Rambo physique under that business suit? Flexing those insane pecs, the advisor brags endlessly. Meanwhile, our MC's brain breaks trying to figure out how that muscle fit in that shirt. Shaking her head, his security partner just cringes at the showboating. What an absolute idiot. Suddenly sweating bullets, Yu-sung tries backing out. He stammers that he never actually agreed to hit the punching machine. Laughing out loud at the Korean's panicked face, the brute declares, "This duel is official. 0 chance of escaping now." Dropping a heavy taunt, the advisor sneers that if the kid chickens out now, he'll be incredibly disappointed. Super disappointed in the so-called legend of the school. Completely fired up, the vice president winds up for a massive smackdown, swearing to show off true mafia power. Dropping one last warning, the rich kid tells the big guy to take notes on how to actually punch. Releasing a wild war cry, he channels every ounce of strength into his arm to absolutely demolish this arcade toy. Boom. He strikes the target so violently, the raw impact echoes straight through the arcade. Anyone walking by is terrified. The digital scoreboard flashes an insane 960 points, instantly shattering the arcade's all-time record. Hyped up, the security squad celebrates the boss's legendary high score. Yu-sung sweating buckets. Smug as hell, the advisor steps back and dares the Korean to step up and beat that ridiculous number. Fuma panics and yells at them to stop. She knows if Yu-sung uses his real power, the whole building is coming down. But fueled by pure male ego, our MC completely ignores her. He promises he's just hitting it for fun, totally holding back. Knuckles cracking the Korean steps up internally, screaming about how he got dragged into this dumb strength contest. Glaring at the machine, Yu-sung knows the score is pointless. But if he punches like a wimp, he'll be humiliated in front of the president. His muscles suddenly bulk up. He realizes this stolen body has a hilarious comedy buff that only triggers for totally absurd fights. Wrapped in a menacing purple aura, he vows to hit it hard, just not hard enough to level the entire city block. You and I both know the truth. Holding back that monstrous strength when you're this hyped up for a fight, nearly impossible. Letting his arm rip, he figures if he's destined to break this arcade toy, he might as well do it looking cool. He throws his entire body weight into it. With a blinding flash, the punch tears through the air before even touching the plastic target. Confused by that weird sound, the vice president just smirks, assuming the kid's attack was pathetic. But the security partner screams in horror. Yusong completely missed the leather pad and punched the machine's solid iron pillar directly. The digital scoreboard flashes a big fat 0. The whole thing goes dead silent since he nailed the metal frame instead. Sweating like crazy, our MC listens to their insults, awkwardly trying to excuse his terribly rusty aim today. Deep down, though, the big guy is celebrating. Missing on purpose was way better than pulverizing the entire arcade into dust. Then the machine starts smoking. It violently sways back and forth, looking like it's gonna collapse at any given second. Crunch. The main iron axis snaps cleanly in half, and the entire massive machine just crashes right onto the arcade floor. Dead silence. Everyone stares at the expensive wreckage while Yusong desperately avoids Fuma Yukika's absolutely murderous glare. Breaking the awkward silence, the vice president smoothly puts his glasses back on and coolly declares this match a draw. So what do we learn here? Run. They bail out fast before the manager charges them for the Koreans' clumsy destruction. Let's dive back into the madness. Out on the street, the group spots a photo booth, finally calling a truce on today's chaos. With the sun going down, the four-eyed advisor pitches a fun idea: why not snap a group photo as a souvenir? Making this weird truce official, President Fuma actually agrees. Hyped about sticker photos, the whole squad violently shoves into the tiny booth, cramming 4 people into 1 square meter. Absolute nightmare. It is a total dogpile in there, as everyone wrestles to fit inside the tiny camera frame. Flash. The prints drop, showing Yusing and Fuma looking perfectly chill in the back, while the 2 goofy bodyguards completely ruin the foreground. Squinting at the strip, the partner starts absolutely roasting the advisor, laughing that his eyes are closed in literally every single shot. Fuma ignores the bickering. She just stares at the photos with this incredibly soft, genuine smile. Pure happiness right there. The brunette finally admits it out loud. The pictures are super cute, and yeah, maybe this chaotic hangout was not such a bad idea. Riding the high, Yusing shoots his shot. He hypes everyone up to finish the night, blasting songs at a nearby karaoke joint. Cut to the vice president completely embarrassing himself, screaming his lungs out on the mic, while the rest of the crew just dies laughing. Then the boss steps up. Fumiyuki grabs the mic and absolutely blows everyone away with flawless, perfect pitch. Who knew? Yusing jumps in for an epic duet, and the night officially wraps up on the best possible note. Pure, unfiltered fun. Later, standing under the streetlights, the squad finally says their goodbyes and flags down some taxis to head home safe. Just before pulling away, Yusing yells out that he had an awesome time, and Fuma gives a little wave from the back, totally agreeing. I know what you are thinking. A perfect day, watch this. Inside the taxi, those bodyguards suddenly realize they made a massive, colossal mistake today. Sweating bullets, the vice president swallows hard and practically begs the boss for mercy. He confesses they completely crashed her date by poking their noses where they did not belong. Whining loudly, his partner admits they became ultimate third wheels, sticking to her like glue all day. Meanwhile, Fuma just stares blankly at the floor, quietly processing these 2 absolute idiots crying their eyes out. But then, out of nowhere, a really gentle smile lights up the president's face, and she calmly tells them it is totally fine. The duo freezes, letting out a massive sigh of relief as she admits today was actually way more fun than her original plan. Gazing out the window, the brunette just replays the whole crazy day in her mind. All those dumb jokes, the shared laughs, and every single moment spent right beside the MC, from eating matcha ice cream to trying on clothes and that absolute disaster at the punching machine, Fuma loved every single chaotic second of it. Tracing her fingers over the little photo strip, she quietly tells them that making these weird memories made her genuinely happy. Flashback time. The Yakuza heiress remembers being just a little kid running around a park with these exact same 2 goofs. Feeling super nostalgic, she genuinely thanks her bodyguards for never leaving her side through every single wild phase of her life. Hit right in the feels, the advisor and the blonde literally bite their lips, trying not to bawl over their boss's sweet words. The Four Eyes absolutely loses it, crying openly and screaming a vow to protect her forever. He loudly swears his eternal loyalty and love to his boss until the day they die. And of course, the touching moment instantly shatters when the president snaps, screaming at them to shut up because they are being way too loud inside the tiny car. Stepping out of the taxi, she sends the duo packing casually, threatening to fire them on the spot if they screw up again. Screaming promises to be better next time, the terrified bodyguards wave out the window as their van peels away into the night. Now, pay attention because the vibe completely shifts here. Cut to a dark studio where a mangaka is furiously drawing on a tablet. Suddenly, the door gets kicked wide open. Rika storms right into the office, screaming for her dad. The nervous blonde immediately interrogates her old man, demanding to know if he remembers her VIP friend visiting tomorrow. He calmly says, yes. Getting super hyped, the mangaka flashes this mysterious smirk, admitting he is absolutely dying to finally meet this famous school friend. Tapping on his computer, the dad thinks back to all the wild gossip Rika dropped about this kid. Who exactly is this guy? Fast forward to Golden Week. Yusung shows up at Rika's front porch looking nervous as hell. Sweating absolute buckets, the big guy rings the bell, feeling like the luckiest fanboy alive. The second the door swings open, he instantly bows at a pure 90-degree angle, showing max respect and calling the guy sensei. Literally shaking in his boots, our MC cannot process that he is staring right at the god of manga. Just looking at this living legend, Yusung can practically feel the massive, overpowering aura of a dude who creates literal universes. But the mangaka just breaks the ice with a giant friendly grin, telling his biggest fan to drop the stiff act and come inside. Getting comfortable, Rika and her gorgeous blonde mom start chatting, totally laughing at how starstruck Yusung looks right now. So, where do we leave it? The mom drops an absolute royal feast on the table to welcome her daughter's first boy visitor. Stick with me here. Our guy thanks them for the amazing food, eating with this famous family like he totally belongs. Taking a sip of wine, the mangaka casually mentions that Rika literally never stops talking about Yusung at home. Flashing a terrifying dad smile, he admits he was absolutely dying to meet the boy who got his daughter so worked up. Sweating bullets under the father-in-law's intense psychological pressure, our main character frantically backpedals, denying any romantic vibe whatsoever. Stuttering like crazy, he insists they are just good friends who helped each other on day one, zero hidden motives involved. Cutting right through his defensive panic, the old man just bursts out laughing. He admits he was only testing him for being the girl's first male friend. Without even thinking, Yusung randomly blurts out mid-dinner that if he had a daughter like Rika, he would do the exact same protective dad routine. Screaming out loud, the girl chokes on her rice, demanding to know why he is talking crazy and imagining her as his kid. Turning red as a pepper, the blonde argues with her mom, reminding her that this Korean guy has zero mouth filter. Sharing a knowing glance, Rika's parents smile at the super light, playful tension. You and I both felt that awkwardness. Embarrassed, the main character asks if he just said something totally bizarre. Throwing in the towel, Rika angrily scolds him. She claims he has a rare talent for dropping romantic bombshells at the worst possible times. Getting nostalgic, the mangaka sadly confesses his little girl grew up way too fast, leaving her doll-playing days completely in the dust. Letting out a sigh, he stares up at the ceiling, and admits he really hoped she would stay a child forever. In a super cute flashback, Dad remembers little Rika hugging her stuffed bunny, swearing absolute eternal love. Reliving those sweet past moments, the mangaka pictures the tiny girl screaming to the entire world that she would marry her dad someday. Suddenly shifting gears, the old man looks right at Yusung, mentioning he heard the boy loves his classic comics. Pulling the ultimate move, the author invites his biggest fan for a private studio tour right after dinner. Crying tears of pure joy with a full stomach, the Korean nods aggressively, swearing his life is totally complete. Heading to the second floor, our guy follows the living art legend, practically tiptoeing from pure absolute happiness. Opening her bedroom door, the blonde walks in first, proudly showing off her personal space to her new friend. Blown away, Yusung scans the massive shelves and swears her room looks way more like a public library than a girl's bedroom. Announcing she needs to grab some snacks from the kitchen, the girl leaves the big guy all by himself. She tells him to sit still. Shutting the door, she swears she will end him if he snoops in her drawers or touches any hidden stash. Sitting on the fluffy floor, Yusung sweats absolute bullets. He internally panics, realizing this is actually his first time ever stepping into a girl's room. Fighting off any dirty thoughts, the kid whips out his phone to play a game, forcing his eyes completely onto the screen. Suddenly, the door swings open again, but this time, the blonde's gorgeous mom steps in, with a highly mischievous smile. Ditching the formal attitude, the mom tells him to just call her Maria without the Mrs. title, so she avoids feeling old. Caught off guard by the casual vibe, the main character is confused until Maria declares she is here to expose her daughter's dirty laundry. Now watch closely because things are about to get wild. The mom slams a massive photo album down, ready to expose Rika's darkest hidden past. Flipping to page 1, Maria proudly points out a chubby baby just absolutely drooling on a pacifier. Sweating, Yusung mutters that invading a secret family album feels highly illegal, but admits he is insanely curious to see the evolution. Busting out laughing, the mom opens up the secret files. Explaining she used to be a pro cosplayer back in the day, she fully passed that addiction down to her daughter. Getting hyped, Maria finds the ultimate prize page, revealing that the blonde's truly embarrassing dark side is here. Turning the page, the photo exposes Rika rocking a dark, edgy gothic cosplay with ruffled clothes and an eye patch looking like a cheap anime villainess. Right on cue, Rika kicks the door open, screaming her mom's name in pure agony over her biggest secret getting leaked. Full-blown panicking, the blonde turns into a spicy tomato shooting death, glares at her mom, asking if he saw the humiliating picture. With his eyes sparkling with pure amusement, Yusung flashes a sadistic smile, roasting the gothic Rika for being a massive nerd. Whining from sheer embarrassment, the blonde aggressively shoves the giant. So what do you and I make of this? Swearing, it was a middle school phase. She panics while the mom flees the crime scene, smiling as she tells the two lovebirds. Stick with me, this crazy mom locked her daughter inside just for kicks. Completely broken, Rika drops to her knees in the corner. Fighting back tears of pure embarrassment, she just wants to vanish. Panicking, she literally begs her partner, "For the love of God, do not breathe a word about this disaster to anyone at school." The Korean guy quickly agrees, swearing absolute secrecy. But he drops a casual hint. Honestly, she doesn't need to be so mortified over a simple costume. Chuckling at her total meltdown, our main character confesses something. We all go through that edgy phase where we think we have dark, forbidden mutant powers. Instantly defensive, the blonde snaps back. She claims a massive buff gym bro like him has definitely never cosplayed a single day in his life. Scratching his cheek, Yusung decides to level the playing field. He totally admits that back in middle school, he was a walking cringe fest. Highly skeptical, Rika completely doubts him. Taking the bait, the guy whips out his phone, challenging her to look at hard evidence. Swiping through old photos from the body's original owner, he finally lands on the absolute perfect picture to silence this blonde completely. Now watch this closely, he shoves the phone right in her face, daring her to judge this absolute 6th grade masterpiece. Eyes going wide, Rika's jaw literally hits the floor. She absolutely refuses to believe what is currently displaying on that tiny screen. Right there on the display, a super pale, scrawny kid striking an edgy arm pose, pretending to be some supreme master of darkness, summoning a black dragon. Bursting into uncontrollable laughter, the blonde calls him a cute, totally harmless nerd. She just cannot fathom how his scrawny physique suddenly exploded like that so fast. Smiling calmly, Yusung explains the truth. He absolutely hated being the skinny kid everyone bullied, so he hit the gym hard, focusing entirely on bulking up before reaching adulthood. Teasing the massive guy, Rika sighs romantically. She wonders aloud if she would have liked his skinny phase or his current wardrobe better, assuming they had met way back then. Completely missing the hint, he questions where she is getting this wild idea of suddenly being into his look. So dense. Slapping a hand over her mouth, the girl violently panics. She just realized those words totally slipped past her non-existent mental filter. Suddenly curious, the Korean corners her against the wall. He instantly demands a proper explanation for that bold phrase she just dropped. Gasping for air, Rika completely avoids eye contact. She frantically tries to fix her massive slip-up during a full-blown panic attack. Stuttering like crazy, she makes her final stand. She declares she only likes him as a fantastic friend and partner, nothing else. Totally falling for it, Yusung visibly relaxes and agrees. He happily confirms that true friends keep dark childhood secrets without causing drama. The fitting room door clicks open, and Fuma steps out rocking a gorgeous luxury kimono. The Korean is left completely speechless. Absolutely mesmerized, he confesses the outfit fits her flawlessly. Getting hit with such a direct compliment, the brunette immediately becomes completely flustered. You feel that tension too, right? Heart-hammering, Yusung admits, the president looks stunning, and the vibe between them turns incredibly heavy. Laughing like a wealthy madam, Fuma brags she truly put in the effort today. She sweetly thanks the big guy for tagging along. Already changed, the president announces that today's shopping mission is officially complete. And now it is finally time to head out. Stepping outside, the brunette notices the busy street. She realizes people are literally stopping to stare at her, while Yusung safely clears her path. Looking back on their outing, Fuma admits she never expected today to be this exciting. Plus, the boy was just so incredibly attentive. Asking him to follow her lead, the kid suggests making one last quick stop before finally calling for the car. In a super intimate moment, the guy secretly snaps a picture of her. He completely hides his nervousness, trying to avoid alerting her strict bodyguards. Strolling down the sidewalk, the duo quickly spots a couple of weird losers trying to snap a sneaky selfie right behind them. Totally outraged by these creeps, the president grabs Yusung. She tells him to hurry up so they can ditch this annoying crowd forever. Just rolling with it, the couple sprints down the street. They desperately need to shake off anyone getting way too interested in them. But suddenly, her two bodyguards pop up at the corner. They yell at their boss, demanding she stay away from this strange hoodie guy. Absolutely furious, the advisor orders the kid to back away from their boss. Our hero, he completely ignores the guy's angry little tantrum. Keeping his cool, Yusung just keeps walking alongside the brunette. Seeing this, the female guard groans. Their whole plan to block him totally failed. Hitting his favorite ramen shop, the duo grabs a seat at the counter, finally giving their tired feet a break. Keeping things casual, Fuma tells him to take his time looking over the menu. Meanwhile, she excuses herself to the restroom for a second. Then, out of literally nowhere, the four-eyed advisor's stomach rumbles like pure thunder. His face instantly twists into a mask of pure agony. Panicking and asking what is wrong, his suited partner totally despairs seeing him. The poor guy is sweating heavy bullets right inside the restaurant. And that is where we leave it. Stomach exploding in pure pain, the poor guy groans that the earlier ice cream was a massive mistake. Alright, you and I are about to watch pure chaos. The colleague literally drags Four Eyes to the bathroom to save their reputation. Right after Yusung steps into the hallway, bumping straight into the vice president, making a frantic run for it. Pointing his finger, our MC calls him out. Like, why on earth are you stalking the president's team today? Sweating bullets, the advisor shrinks back. He begs Yusung to keep their creepy little spying mission a secret from Fuma. Hearing Fuma calling from afar, Yusung completely plays dumb and ignores the hidden spy. Heading back to the table, he finds the brunette waiting. They finally decide to just order some hot ramen. A massive steaming bowl of noodles lands right in front of them, and Yusung carefully explains how to eat it. Staring at the huge portion, Fuma asks if they share it all. The Korean just gives a nod. Completely amazed, the rich girl has never eaten street food before. She quickly asks if it is his first time here too. He admits he has seen people eat it on TV constantly, but actually doing it in real life is a brand new experience. Watching her happily slurp down noodles, Yusung realizes this elite girl has literally never lived a normal everyday life. Even while eating clumsily, the brunette absolutely loves the taste. This street food is amazing. Flashing a bright smile, Fuma says her stomach is warm and thanks him for totally saving her dinner. Yusung internally celebrates. She loved the food, and this chaotic date is actually working out perfectly despite everything. With the meal finished, our big guy steps up to pay, totally ignoring the female guard's brutal death glare. Suddenly we jump straight to a super loud arcade. Time to burn off all that extra ramen energy. Right in the middle, Fuma completely loses it when her teddy bear prize drops from the claw machine yet again. While the blonde guard swears to win that plushie, Yusung squares off against the vice president at the arcade cabs. Now pay attention because this gaming battle gets wild. The advisor absolutely wrecks our MC and gloats non-stop. Gritting his teeth, Yusung is fuming. He demands an immediate digital rematch to completely wipe away that humiliating loss. Seeing red, the MC thinks this guy is totally mocking his pride. He vows to crush this annoying loser. Laughing right in his face, the advisor challenges him to pay the bill for losing so many matches today. Yusung yells out to bring it on, dropping more tokens. But suddenly, the opponent pulls off a master combo for a violent knockout. Yusung is literally frozen, staring at the screen. He flips out, wondering where these insane skills were when the guy was trash-talking everyone earlier. With a massive vein popping, Yusung practically growls at the arrogant advisor and his non-stop mockery. Not backing down, Four Eyes points to the punching machine. Time to finally settle this rivalry with actual physical fists. Deal accepted. The MC decides this final brute force challenge will shut that trash talk up once and for all. Did you see this coming? The advisor rips off his shirt, revealing an absolutely brutal, shredded physique hiding underneath. Yusung tries to play it cool, but he is shook. This student council nerd is actually a secret bodybuilder. Screaming with pure muscle power, the opponent winds up his punch to set an unbeatable record. Boom, he completely smashes the pad. The digital board flashes 960 points, shaking everything around. The security team goes completely wild, cheering the historic score. Meanwhile, our MC steps up to the machine with a trembling arm. The president begs him not to break the toy. But Yusung is genuinely curious to test the absolute limits of his own strength. Scowling hard, he takes a deep breath. He promises himself to hit hard but avoid causing total utter destruction. Gathering his energy, he feels that pure main character power surging while his opponent watches with a totally smug look. Knowing his body has a literal steel buff, Yusung focuses completely on breaking the high score, without turning the machine into absolute dust. Winding up his ultimate strike, a crackling purple aura surrounds him. He punches dead center with the absolute will to win. The impact is absolutely insane. The metal frame completely shatters before the rubber ball even registers the hit. Smoke pours out everywhere. The screen glitches to zero and completely dies, leaving the cocky advisor looking like a massive idiot. Totally speechless, Yusung awkwardly rubs his neck. The president just stares in pure shock at the smoking pile of scrap. Staring at that zero, the advisor stammers. He cannot tell if the machine broke or if this kid is an absolute monster. Seeing the burning wreckage here is what we learned trying to live as a background extra is officially an impossible mission for him, especially when facing the completely stunned security team. Stick with me here. He totally downplays that insane punch and just bolts from the scene. Looking totally defeated, the advisor somehow convinces himself he actually tied the hooded guy in pure strength. Puffed up on fake pride, the rich kid swears he will crush the Korean in an official match next time. Ducking into a photo booth to hide the crew, decides to snap some quick pictures to just forget the whole fight. Squished together in all the chaos they flash, huge smiles for the camera, totally forgetting about tomorrow's problems. Holding the pics, Fuma cracks up. The sunglasses guy actually blinked, classic comedy timing right there. After their crazy hangout, the brunette admits she actually loved seeing Yu Sung's normal human side for once. Cut to karaoke. The vice president is screaming lyrics while Yu Sung and the president pull off a perfect duet. Lost in the music, these two completely let go, singing like the world is ending tomorrow. Heading to their taxi, everyone finally says peaceful goodbyes. A quiet end to that absolute mall chaos. In the car, the brunette thanks our big guy. He is officially her craziest adventure buddy ever. Staring at the photos, the president gets super emotional. She vows to treasure this rare, perfect memory forever. But watch closely. Suddenly, the bad guy charges in, throwing an absolute killer punch right at Yu Sung. Pure reflex, the Korean slips it, smashing a pinpoint counter right into the psycho's face. Grabbing Sasha's hand, he yanks our heroine into a dark corner to dodge the incoming crossfire. Tucked away, the buff guy promises she is safe. His VIP protection service is fully active. Sasha freezes against the wall in pure panic while Yu Sung peeks out. Fists clenched, he instantly realizes these guys aren't just random street thugs. Cornered by 3 trained agents, Yu Sung takes one deep breath. Time for an all-out brawl. Zero mercy. Our absolute monster steps up, proving he is definitely not playing games today. Bam. One bloody strike drops the first guy. Proof that even in rom-coms, the dude with the biggest muscles rules the block. The goons groan on the pavement. Yu Sung stands tall, totally claiming his spot as king of the block. Hyping up the fight, he waves for Sasha to stay back. He will handle this trash entirely alone. Another agent rushes in to avenge his buddy, but just gets served a massive dose of painful reality. Breathing heavy, Yu Sung goes full berserker mode. Nobody is going to ruin his perfectly good day off. You see that coming. Captain Boris steps out looking like the ultimate final boss villain. Scanning his new target, our Korean lead realizes this boss is ridiculously huge. Staring Boris down, he jokes if this giant also got that crazy rom-com main character muscle buff. Flexing with pure killing intent, Boris gears up to strike, desperate to prove he is the real heavyweight king. Shaking in total panic, Sasha begs Yu Sung to run. She swears this captain is literally unbeatable. Smirking like a maniac, Boris marches forward, ready to show why the underworld fears his name. But Yu Sung just grins. Underestimating him based on looks, that is always the bad guy's absolute fatal mistake. Done playing games, our MC drops into his fighting stance. Exploding in a blur of wild purple energy, he dashes right at the captain, giving him 0 seconds to even breathe. Shocked by that crazy speed, Boris tries to block. But no, a heavy hand clamps onto his wrist. Spinning his body, Yu Sung perfectly uses the giant's own momentum for a flawless judo throw. Boris thrashes around desperately trying to break loose, but gets locked into an absolutely brutal armbar. Face planted in the dirt, the captain eats pavement as Yu Sung pins him down with raw, unstoppable strength. Groaning, Boris is totally mind-blown. How did he just lose to some random high school kid? Digging a knee into his ribs, Yu Sung nearly folds him until Boris finally screams out for mercy. Gripping the captain's belt, our Korean powerhouse tosses him like a rag doll. And to finish it, he literally lifts Boris with one single hand, proving exactly who the boss is. Eyes blazing with pure fury, Yu Sung locks down Boris's joints, completely trapping the mafia veteran. Look at the villain's face. Pure raw panic. He knows his spine is seconds away from snapping. With one final power move, he launches the captain straight into the air, completely humiliating the mafia boss. Crashed on the ground, Boris tastes absolute defeat as he watches the victor walk away. Without even glancing back, our guy keeps walking, leaving all that mafia trash scattered across the park. And that's where we leave it. He just grumbles that, if this ruins tomorrow's workout, he is going to absolutely lose his mind. Let's jump into this crazy manhwa. Right after an intense clash, Sasha checks her savior, wondering how a random student got so ridiculously overpowered. Meanwhile, a mafia boss gets a total bombshell over the phone. Boris Zirov just got completely wrecked. The kingpin cannot believe it. Defeat his absolute best soldier, a guy who never lost a single duel, went down. But hearing the description of this Black Yasha, the boss goes pale. He instantly recognizes the legend everyone was terrified of. Sweating cold bullets, the villain asks the impossible. Did that legendary monster actually just reappear on the map? The informant checks the intel and confirms the worst. Black Yasha is back in Tokyo to cause absolute chaos. The news spreads fast. Rumors of the Akihabara showdown send the entire Japanese underworld into a total panic. In the shadows, a mysterious contact checks the data, wondering why the famous Yasha vanished without a trace back then. Eyes glowing, the brunette council member scoffs, calling these new mafia rookies a bunch of completely clueless idiots. A flashback reveals the legendary 99 God of Fist tournament. Ivan the Destroyer, hunting for a worthy successor. The masked ninja looks back, deepening the mystery around Fuma Kotaro, who basically appeared out of nowhere. The report says Kotaro fought just one time, reached the finals, and instantly became an absolutely unbeatable legend. Now, pay attention here. The president asks if Kotaro really returned, and the atmosphere instantly gets insanely heavy. Opening her apartment door, the president casually invites Yusong inside her place without any formal ceremony. Walking through the neighborhood, Fuma looks like a completely different person, way more relaxed than her usual school vibe. Entering the room, she runs straight into her mangaka father. He is totally hyped to welcome the manga master. The vibe completely flips when the family and the maid greet Yusong with a full-blown maid cafe-style feast. With Rika and Sasha nearby, poor Yusong is absolutely mortified by this wild, exaggerated reception. Slapping his forehead, our main character asks why Rika dragged him to a maid cafe as some kind of mandatory visit. Sitting at the table, the trio looks totally dumbfounded, while all the super cute decorations try winning them over. Checking out Rika's photo album, Yusong jokes they look like lost tourists at an otaku convention. Furious, she yells at him to shut up and stop laughing. Terrified of being spotted, Yusong grumbles that he cannot show his face for weeks because of that massive company mess. Explaining this tech rivalry, the Korean guy says the enemy squad uses an electromagnetic pulse to just fry everything. Caught in this epic clash of giants, Yusong wonders why. Why kidnap Sasha right now? Adjusting her cap, Sasha snaps that she is no ordinary rich kid. Her lineage is serious business. Suddenly cutting the chat, a cat-eared maid shows up with a super colorful and fragrant plate of food. Super excited, Sasha tells Yusong to dig in while he desperately tries maintaining his tough alpha male posture. As the maid insists, Sasha warns him about a mandatory purification ritual before he takes that first bite. You and I both know what is coming, right? Yusong just stares at the laughing blonde, totally confused. Making a heart, the maid forces the couple to repeat this totally ridiculous gesture to activate the flavor. Yelling Momo Kayan for the entire cafe to hear the cat girl makes our poor MC sweat with embarrassment. Just wanting to vanish from the earth, Yusong refuses the gesture. Sasha just dies laughing while he tries playing it cool. Turning red as a hot coal, he tries containing his embarrassment, while the relentless maid just stands there waiting. Finally cracking under pressure, Yusong makes the heart. Sasha nearly dies, laughing, watching this buff guy surrender to maid culture. Post-humiliation, the Korean guy tries scraping back his dignity, while the employee happily goes back to work. Totally exhausted from the stress, our MC attacks the plate and admits the food is actually pretty amazing. Meal finished, the cheerful maid returns to check if her service met all their grand expectations, and the group quickly bails before anyone forces them into another dance. But that cafe atmosphere is unforgiving, and Yusong loses the game round. Verdict delivered, the cat-eared maid warns him the punishment is super brutal. Without any mercy, our boy gets forced into a kitty headband and has to end every sentence with Nia. In absolute shock, the MC desperately tries negotiating, but Sasha just laughs. The rules are the rules. Gritting his teeth in pure embarrassment, he accepts his dark fate, vowing to win the next round, no matter what. Dead serious now, Yusong shuffles those cards exactly like a pro in a world tournament. So what do we learn? Don't lose. Our MC just lets out a hateful nya as purple despair completely takes over him. Alright, come along with me as our guy takes another massive loss, puffing his cheeks while Sasha practically dies laughing. His pride, absolutely crushed. But our Korean main character swears total payback, guaranteeing the next round is his ultimate win. They push back from the table and bounce mostly to save whatever tiny shred of dignity Yusong has left. The sun dips down outside. Sasha is totally hyping up their epic day while the big guy just sulks over his 0-win streak. Getting super genuine, the blonde smiles. No tourist traps needed today, just hanging out with him made every single second totally worth it. But then her vibe completely flips. Sasha turns to Yusong. She has a super urgent confession to make right now. His eyes bulge out of his head. Those random dudes he wrecked at the park. Yeah, elite bodyguards hired by her own dad. Turning pale, she spills the truth. She ghosted her family at the hotel to sneak around Japan, and now, the whole situation is a massive disaster. Warning her to run back before her family goes nuclear, Yusong sighs and offers to walk her all the way to the hotel. Suddenly, heavy helicopter blades chop through the sky. Sasha just gives this incredibly nervous smile, knowing exactly what is coming. A booming voice drops from the heavens, screaming that he finally tracked down his runaway daughter in the city center. Blinding chopper lights flood the park. Yusong and Sasha just completely freeze up, brains totally short-circuiting in pure shock. Boom. The landing kicks up a massive dust cloud, and her dad steps out, radiating pure, unfiltered final boss energy. Now pay attention here. Sunglasses on, her dad coldly announces this game of hide-and-seek is officially over. Locking in, Yusong scans the guy. Instantly, he realizes he is facing a terrifyingly strong and ridiculously dangerous monster. Panicking, Sasha demands to know how her dad found them so fast, completely stunned by his insane tracking skills. Cutting the small talk, the boss squares up. He loudly declares this is strictly family business between him and his runaway kid. Stomping forward, the man pierces Yusong with a glare, sizing him up like a prime piece of enemy meat. Desperate to shield her friend, Sasha tries taking all the blame, but her dad just completely tunes her out. Feeling the deadly aura, our guy finally connects the dots. This is Sasha's father. But Yusong is just confused about the guy's perfect Japanese. He casually asks how a foreigner speaks the language flawlessly. Suddenly, becoming target number 1, the kid violently flinches when the boss randomly drops the name Black Yasha right here. Pointing directly at his own chest, the Korean asks if he means him. Meanwhile, Sasha just stands there, totally lost. The villain flashes back to 10 years ago when the legendary Black Yasha completely fell off the map without a trace. Chest puffed way out, the enemy drags up the past and challenges Yusong to an all-out showdown right then and there. Roaring with pure rage, Boris Zaroff swears that today he is ending the battle they left hanging all those years ago. Completely lost in the sauce, Yusong just asks who this random dude is, trying to collect some ancient debt from a past century. Giving a weird look, the Korean swears he has never heard of this Fuma Kotaro guy in his entire life. You and I both know this misunderstanding is wild. Watching them, Sasha's dad thinks the kid is just playing dumb, so Boris vows to show absolutely zero mercy. Trying to defend himself, our guy desperately insists it is a case of mistaken identity, but the villain honestly could not care less. Getting right in his face, Sasha's dad demands to know how a kid like him crushed Boris earlier today. Waving his hands calmly, Yusong awkwardly apologizes and tries to downplay the whole thing as just a tiny little park scuffle. With his pride shattered into pieces, Boris completely ignores him. He snaps, screaming that he has never felt so humiliated in his entire life. Charging up his aura, the villain explodes in a blinding blue light, rushing forward to literally vaporize the Korean into dust. Watching the shockwave, Yusong snaps to reality. Boris is not playing games, and our boy actually has to fight for real now. Sasha watches in pure terror, shaking, while the Korean desperately tries to talk the beast down before the park gets totally leveled. Narrowing his eyes like a true protagonist, Yusong finally squares up, ready to block the captain's absolutely unhinged physical assault. Flashing a twisted smirk, Boris dares the kid to unleash the real power he has been hiding. Yusong casually drops his heavy backpack full of manga on the dirt, instantly shifting into lethal combat mode. Screaming that nobody disrespects his precious manga collection, the kid launches off the ground for an epic high-speed counterattack. Moving like a literal blur of light, Yusong slices through the air, locking onto the villain's weak point. Boom! A colossal shockwave erupts as Boris gets smashed into the concrete, blasted by the Korean's heavy bone-crushing punch. Shaking off the hit, the villain actually grins. He loves this clash, openly admitting the kid hits like an absolute truck. Eyes burning with pure rage, Boris demands to know why Yusong is risking everything to protect the girl. And that is where we leave it. Yusong snaps, yelling that this supposed genius is just wasting time on pointless brawls. Stepping up for his right-hand man, Boris launches an attack so heavy it literally shakes the park to its core. Their fists collide, blasting out a shockwave that completely terrifies everyone watching nearby. Stick with me here. Boris instantly realizes this kid has a totally broken once-in-a-century talent. Zero fear. Yusong just locks into autopilot completely, shrugging off the brutal damage he takes. Energy flaring up, Boris gears up for a massive finisher to crush the Yasha bloodline. Staring him down, Boris actually offers this crazy deal drop out of high school and join his crew. Fist swinging, the big boss promises to drag Yusong right to the absolute top if he takes the blood pact. Right there in the war zone, Yusong realizes his whole life is a total lie. The cheesy romance manga, Scramble Love, is now a brutal battlefield, and he fully accepts his new role. Hearing those edgy villain quotes, our guy realizes this dude sounds straight out of an action manga. He remembers when everything felt like a sweet rom-com. But yeah, things just got insanely serious right now. Looking at his own ripped muscles, Yusong gets it. All that hardcore training was literally just to survive this madness. Fights are totally unavoidable now. His destiny, punching his way through a whole army of absolute psychos. His crazy brute strength only sparks more chaos. He finally accepts that his life is just one endless brawl. You saw that shift too, right? Looking up, he realizes this story went full hardcore action and there is no turning back. He completely bets the author changed the genre just to survive those brutal Jump magazine rankings. Glancing at the manga cover, he finally gets it. Forcing a slice-of-life romance in a battle world is totally pointless. He practically sees the creator sweating over the plot changes as the whole storyline shifts gears super hard. One mistake means death, so he locks onto the exact strike that will decide his fate. Knowing lethal freaks will jump out from everywhere, he readies up to defend his own life. Boris hands him a job offer, but Yusong knows it is pure survival now. Trashing the promise of cash and power, he clenches his fist completely, ready to grind Boris down to zero energy. Staring Boris down with a crazy smirk, Yusong notices this showdown is perfectly classic battle manga material. Remembering Sakamoto is the main character destined to win, he runs some fast mental math for survival. Grabbing the blonde kid, our guy realizes the golden rule. Stick closely to the actual hero to avoid dying halfway through the plot. Breathing a heavy sigh, Captain Boris steps back. He can totally feel the kid taking this deathmatch completely seriously. Yusung screams out, wondering why this crazy old man has to be so ridiculously extreme. Now pay close attention here. The air gets incredibly heavy as Boris violently advances. Bam! He lands a brutal punch that completely knocks the wind out of Yusung. Coughing in sharp pain, Yusung knows the captain is not playing games. This dude fully intends to hospitalize him today. Winding up again, Boris laughs, saying he almost went easy on Sasha's fake dad, but he instantly changed his mind about that. Spotting a tiny gap in his defense, our guy rushes in for a super desperate counterattack. Boris just stares back, totally calm like a veteran of 1,000 wars who does not care about some kid's rage. Cursing his terrible luck, Yusung sees this captain is an unbreakable wall. Opening his arms, Boris charges up blue energy, crackling like raw electricity. Dropping some dark wisdom, the boss says he will teach him exactly how real men fight. Clenching his fist with insane force, Boris proves that every single strike must be calculated for maximum destruction. So what do we take from this? When Boris gets mad, he promises to punch straight through absolutely anyone, with completely pure, terrifying intent to kill.